Let's get something to eat.
Honorable Sithole. Honorable Sithole.
Are you connecting? Okay. Yeah.
Recording
I'm
stopped.
thinking that I'll connect in the car. All right, Chair. Bye.
Honorable Sithole.
Dumela Chairman, Dumela. Chairperson, Dumela.
Honorable Mabilo, how are you?
Okay, I'm fine, Chair. We are 4 here in the
Recording
same
in
room
progress.
in Bloemfontein.
Can you just chair the meeting for a few minutes? I need to do some interviews and then I'll come back. I see the minister is already in the meeting so that we don't hold the meeting.
No, that's fine, Chair. I'll chair the meeting. It's okay.
Thank you, Honorable
No, not
Mabilo.
me. I'm chairing the meeting.
Yes, Honorable Mabilo, please chair.
Thank you very much, Chairperson.
I just want to conclude the interviews.
And then thank you.
I will indicate when
Chair.
I'm back.
Okay. It's 2 minutes past 2 o'clock, honorable colleagues. The minister, all participants, you are welcome to the meeting. As the chair has indicated, I'm holding the fort until he comes back. The 4 of us are here in the same venue, myself, Honorable Mapule, Tlamini, Honorable Van der Berg, and Honorable Montwedi. We are attending a rural development in Taba. So we are in the breakaway room. So without wasting time, I want to take this opportunity to extend a word of welcome to all those who are present in the meeting. Agga, can you just check, are we forming a quorum?
Yes, sir, we are.
Thank you. Can you fly the agenda for us, Agga? Thank you, colleagues. The agenda has been flighted. We've got only one item, which is the briefing by the Department of Agriculture on the APP and budget vote 29. Without wasting time, colleagues, I'll hand over to the minister to make his remarks, and then he will display to whom he is going to refer to table the APPs. Thank you. Over to you, Minister, for your remarks.
Good afternoon to all the members of the Select Committee. Thank you very much for this opportunity to be with you today to take you through our annual performance plan as well as our budget for the 2026 year. We thank you very much for this opportunity. We obviously hand over immediately. It's quite a substantial presentation that we wish to make. And I'm going to hand over to the DDG Sarache to take us through the presentation, obviously indicate which officials will be taking us through the various parts of it. Then obviously we will hand back to you, Chairperson, for any questions, comments, or inputs that honourable members would like to make. Without further ado, over to you, DDG Sarache.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Honourable Minister, honourable members of the Select Committee. We've prepared the presentation. It's going to come into two parts. The first part on the APP itself would be led by Dr. Puti, from Chief Director responsible for strategic planning. And the financial part of it will be presented by Mr. Rowan Dunster, the Acting Chief Director, Financial Management. Thank you very much. With your indulgence, we can start, the Deputy.
Go ahead, DDG is accepted.
Good afternoon, DG Minister and the members of the Select Committee.
No, DDG, you can switch off switch on your video so that we must see you. You can then switch it off, but it is not proper there, please.
Okay, I hope I'm okay now. Good afternoon, Minister, Chairperson.
That's fine.
Okay, thank you very much. DDG Sarache is by no means undermining your directive. With your support, I'm sure you'll understand, I don't undermine it. If I decide to further delegate the responsibility which you have given to me, which I take it very seriously, DG, it will just be simply because we have made preparation that Mayor Muluti, who I'm working very closely with, is the one who will be leading us with the presentation of this APP. But I'll be part of the team that will obviously have to deal with whatever questions that will come through. With your permission, DDG, can I then invite Mayor Muluti to do the presentation? Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Mayor Muluti, are you audible there?
You can go ahead. Yeah, you are audible.
Okay. Then if there's a challenge with Memuluti, then I'll continue and do the presentation then. It looks like Memuluti is having some challenges with the division. Thank you very much. We are here to present the annual performance plan for the Department of Agriculture. This is the plan.
Oh, am I visible? Yes, am I visible to you? Because I needed to share my picture first before I proceed with the presentation.
No, the picture is not visible, Mayor. The camera is not visible.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, honorable members. The Minister.
Memuloti, can you just show your your video and switch it off, please?
I've opened it. Am I visible?
Not yet.
I have opened it. I don't know what's happening. I've opened it, honorable members.
No, that's fine. Go ahead, Mamuluti.
All right. Thank you very much, honorable members, Minister, DDGs, and colleagues on the platform. Can we get the presentation, Ms. Davis? Today we are presenting, first slide please, the APP for 26-27 to the portfolio, to the Select Committee, and the presentation consists of these contents: the purpose and background, the MTDP priorities, the SWOT analysis, sector strategic priorities for the MTDP period, the strategic focus, impact statement, and our contribution to the government priorities, MTDP priorities, outcomes, indicators, and 5-year targets, the situational analysis, the annual performance plan indicators and targets, followed by the Annexure B of standardized indicators and targets, which we have included for honorable members to have a view of what targets have been planned in the provincial departments of agriculture. And then that would be finally Mr. Dunster, who will be presenting to us the budget. The next slide, please. I think, as I've already indicated, that we are presenting the APP, and through the process when we developed it, the Auditor General of South Africa, together with the Department of Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation, they provided recommendations so that we can improve the APP. This APP is actually informed by the MTDP 2024 to 2029. So as we developed it, we were guided by the strategic priorities of government, which is to drive inclusive growth and job creation, to reduce poverty and tackle the high cost of living, building a capable, ethical, and developmental state. We should also indicate that this APP is aligned to a great extent to the AAMP, which is the Agriculture and Agro-Processing Master Plan, which is our sector growth strategy to build a competitive and a transformed sector. The APP is also aligned to our strategic plan for 2025-29 to 30, and the implementation of the strategic plan is actually reflected in the APP output indicators and targets. So we are not moving away from the strategic plan, but we are showing the implementation plan of the strategic plan on an annual basis. Now, this slide is actually just showing the strategic priorities of government. Next slide, please. Now, when we developed the strategic plan, which also goes through to the APP, we conducted the SWOT analysis, where we showed our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So honorable members would see that the strength that we have is sufficient knowledge and capabilities and the expertise and the internal policies that we have, and also the close association with internal bodies, whilst our weaknesses are actually indicating that there is no strong partnership with private sector, and also the over-reliance on consultants and the slow pace of digitalization as well as corruption. Now, on the opportunities, to a certain extent, we had to respond to the weaknesses. I mean, digitalization, it's a very important, as we have indicated, that it is also a weakness. So this is an opportunity that we're looking into, and also ensuring that there is partnership with commodities and strategic partners, and also leveraging on the donor opportunities. On the threats, we have the political instabilities, climate change and disaster, biosecurity, cyber hacking, as well as the budget cuts. Next slide, please. Now, the sector has got 7 strategic priorities over the period of the MTDP. So this is what is guiding our implementation, which is partnership for growth, a modern and progressive legislative and regulatory environment, improving market access for South African agriculture, providing effective support for farmers to ensure inclusive, viable, sustainable, and profitable farming operation. Biosecurity is everybody's responsibility, advocacy for a growing sector, and improving food security. These sector priorities, they are also responding to the challenges as we have identified in the SWOT analysis. Next slide, please. Now, we developed a strategic focus for the department, where we developed a vision and a mission, Our vision as a department is a dynamic and sustainable agricultural sector for a food secure South Africa. We will achieve that by enabling inclusive economic growth, competitiveness, and market access through collaborative partnerships. Agricultural and digital innovation, research, and transformed legislation. Of importance, honorable members, you would see that we are not moving away from the SWOT analysis that was conducted and also the sector strategic priorities. Now, in terms of the values, we are agreed, we are adaptable, wanting to grow the sector, and when we do our interventions, we are respectful and looking forward to innovate our interventions as well as collaborate with the partners that we have identified in our SWOT. Next slide, please. This slide is actually showing the impact statement for our department, which is improve food security, market access through a sustained and responsive agricultural sector. Now, we are actually showing the alignment starting from the strategic priorities of government, 3 of them, and we developed the outcomes in the department. These outcomes, as you see them, this is where all the work of the department will actually be concentrated in. On the strategic priority 1, which is driving inclusive growth and job creation, the outcomes that are relevant is increasing production in the agricultural sector, increased production share of Black producers in the overall production to stimulate meaningful transformation, and outcome 5, which is increased market access, and the final one, outcome 6, enhanced biosecurity and effective disaster risk reduction. Strategic priority 2, reducing poverty and tackling the high cost of living. It is aligned to outcome on improved food and nutrition security, and strategic priority building a capable and ethical and developmental state. It's aligned to the outcome improved governance and modernized service delivery. Next slide, please. Now, the following slides would show the alignment of the MTDP priorities, outcomes, indicators, and the 5-year targets. These are predominantly for the strategic plan. As we develop the APP, we don't forget about the targets that we have set in the strategic plan. So we keep on ensuring that there is alignment. As you would see, this MTDP priority 3, building a capable, ethical, and developmental state. It will be delivered through the outcome indicator, which is improved governance and modernized service delivery. Over a period of 5 years, as we implement our APP, we will measure this outcome through the 3 outcome indicators, which is percentage compliance with legislative framework. We intend to achieve 100% compliance in that regard. On the indicator, percentage achievement of key performance indicators, we are targeting to achieve 90% as in terms of performance in the entire department. The outcome indicator, percentage of departmental system modernized and digitalized, we have a 5-year target of 40% of automation of our systems. Next slide, please. This one is aligned to MTDP priority 1, which is inclusive growth and job creation. We've got a number of outcomes here because that is where the technical work of the department is actually happening. The technical work on agriculture, which is to increase production in the agricultural sector, that will be measured over a period of 5 years in achieving 2.6 metric tons of the field crops, and then 0.6 metric tons in horticulture and 0.6 in livestock. The second outcome, which is enhanced biosecurity and effective disaster risk reduction, we are actually targeting to comply to that by at least 100%. And the next outcome, which is increased market access, over a period of 5 years, we are targeting to achieve at least 5%. It is also important to note that currently with this outcome, we are sitting as a baseline at 6% average over the past 5 years in terms of market access. And the outcome indicator, the outcome increased production share of black producers in overall production to stimulate meaningful transformation. So our 5-year target is actually to achieve 20%. The baseline where we are sitting now is at 8%. Next slide, please. Which is the last MTDP priority, reduce poverty and tackle the high cost of living. The outcome that is aligned there is improve food and nutrition security. We are going to be measuring the percentage of households with severe food insecurity that needs to be reduced over a period of 5 years. When we developed this, the baseline at that point in time, it was sitting at about 17.5% of households which were food insecure. The target that we need to achieve is to reduce it by 5% to at least go to the level of 12.5. Can we get to the next slide, please? Now, this is, the performance of agriculture at a glance. Honorable members would see that agriculture approximately contributes about 2.8% in South Africa's GDP, and it also provides formal employment of about 5.6%, equating to roughly 920,000 to 950,000 jobs. As you would see in the annual GDP contribution there, where we've got agriculture, including the agro-processing, there is some form of, improvement. And on the right-hand side there, honorable members, we have actually brought in something just to show the percentage of black producers who are contributing to this GDP. In the previous years of 2014 to 19, we actually had about 10% of the black producers contributing, and that has slightly improved to about 13% in the 2023 data. Can we get to the next slide, please? Now, coming to the programs of the department. The first program, Program 1, which is administration. The purpose of this program is to provide strategic leadership, management and support services to the department, and it has got a number of sub-programs, which is the ministry, departmental management, internal audit, financial management services, corporate support services, as well as office administration to provide office accommodation. Honorable members, may you allow me not to actually read on the definition of those sub-programs. Now, on Program 1, the output indicators that we have, the first one is audit opinion obtained. On the second quarter, we have targeted that we would, present an unqualified audit opinion for 25-26 of the annual department performance. This will actually relate to the performance on the financial and the non-financial performance. Percentage, the next indicator is percentage of valid invoices paid within 30 days. On a quarterly basis, we have targeted 100% that all the valid invoices that are presented to the department should be, paid within these 30 days as required. Now, the next indicator is the number of reports on procurement spent on the designated groups. We will produce 4 quarterly reports on procurement spent on the designated groups. That will be done on a quarterly basis, and the business process reviewed. On the second quarter, we will produce a draft business process, and on the fourth quarter, we will submit an approved business process as the finality of approving the business processes that will be followed in the department. And the next indicator is the number of funded vacant posts filled. Currently, when we developed this APP, the posts that were vacant were 147, and by the end of Q4, we need to have filled all those vacant posts. And the last indicator on program 1 is percentage of departmental systems digitalized, which is 4%. That will be presented at the fourth quarter, but obviously on a quarterly basis we'll be showing progress. Now, coming to the program 2, agricultural production, biosecurity, and natural resources management. The purpose of this program is to oversee livestock production, game farming, animal and plant health, natural resources, and disaster management. This is the biggest program in the department that does, the agricultural regulations and agricultural interventions. Now, this program has got a number of sub-programs, which is inspection and quarantine services, plant production and health, animal production and health, natural resources and disaster management, biosecurity, and we have got our 2 entities which are also included in the E&E, Agricultural Research Council, as well as the Onderstepoort Biological Products. Next slide, please. The indicators for this branch. Program 2, the first indicator is the research report on hemp adaptability compiled. So we will produce an annual research report to show where hemp is adaptable. So on the third quarter, we will produce a progress report, and then Q4, the report will be approved, and it will be an annual research report on hemp adaptability and the areas across the provinces where the hemp will be adaptable. And the next indicator is the draft greenhouse gas emission reduction plan for agricultural sector developed. We are going to gazette this greenhouse gas emission reduction plan for agricultural sector on the fourth quarter. In the quarters that would be following, it will be the progress, but on the fourth quarter, we will have gazetted this greenhouse gas emission reduction plan for agriculture. The next indicator is the number of farmers supported with water efficient technologies. So we have targeted 50 farmers that are going to be supported on these water efficient technologies. So Q2 we have targeted 20 and Q3 20, and finally on Q4 it will be 10, which will aggregate to 50. The next indicator is the research report on the implementation of sustainable land management practices compiled. So we will produce an approved research report on the implementation of the sustainable land management practices. That is a fourth quarter target. Next slide, please. We still continue with program 2. The next indicator is the number of regulatory frameworks developed. The annual target there is 2 approved regulatory frameworks that will be presented. The first regulatory will be showing the tariffs under the CARA. The second one will be showing the tariffs regulation under the PIDALA. And the next indicator there, it's the number of neglected, underutilized species promoted. We have targeted 10 neglected, underutilized species. And in Q4, you see, honorable members, that the targeted species there is sweet sorghum, grain sorghum, the pearl millet, finger millet, bambara, cowpea, mung bean, taro, cassava, cucurbits, calabash, and melon. So the next indicator is the research report on the genomic identification on reproduction in nondescript smallholders compiled. We will also we have also targeted an approved research report on the genomic identification on reproduction in nondescript smallholders. In Q3, we'll produce a draft research report which will be finally approved in Q4. Next slide, please. This is the last indicators for program 2. That is the national biosecurity institutionalized. On the fourth quarter, we'll produce an approved report on the institutionalization of the National Biosecurity Hub. In Q2, there will be a draft institutionalization report on the National Biosecurity Hub, and on the fourth quarter, it will be an approved final report on the institutionalization of the National Biosecurity Hub. And the next indicator is the number of plant pest risk surveillance conducted. Of importance is to focus on the exotic fruit fly, the Citra screening, and the BBT. So in each and every quarter, the surveillances for these 3 areas will be conducted up until the fourth quarter. The last indicator, which is the number of animal diseases surveillance conducted, that will be on FMD, PPR, and the CBPP. So in every quarter, for the fourth quarter, those surveillances will be conducted. Can we get to the next slide, please? Now, this is just a slide to show to the honorable members where the hemp adaptability will be conducted. The provinces here is Eastern Cape, in the district municipality of Sarabartman. That's the project description will be on the cultivar evaluation. We have indicated the GPS coordinates, which will be easier for honorable members to get to the place. In KZN, The research will be conducted in the Mgungundovu district. In Limpopo, it's 2 areas. In the Vembe district, the Makado local municipality. In Mpumalanga, they haven't indicated the district municipality. Northern Cape is in the David Kraper municipality, and the Western Cape is in the Cape Wineland districts. The project description is on the cultivar. And program 3, food security and support. The purpose of the program is to facilitate and promote food security and an agrarian reform program and initiatives. This program has got 3 sub-programs, which is farmer support. The next one is the National Extension Support Services, and the final sub-program is sector capacity development. The next slide, please. The indicators for program 3, indicators and targets. The first indicator is the second iteration of the National Food and Nutrition Security Plan developed. For this financial year, we are targeting that the plan should be endorsed by EXCO in Q2. A draft, iteration of the plan will be presented to EXCO, and on the 4th quarter, the final plan will be endorsed by EXCO. The next indicator is the number of monitoring reports on support to household producers. So we have targeted to produce 2 approved biannual monitoring reports on the household supported by the PDAs. Honorable members should also take note that we have standardized indicators which are implemented by the provincial departments of agriculture. Now, in terms of the first indicator here that is talking to the National Food and Nutrition Security Plan, the monitoring report that we have reflected here, it would actually be giving the progress as in terms of a number of households that are being supported by the PDAs. The next indicator is the number of producers supported through the blended finance scheme. For 26-27, we have targeted 100 producers, and on a quarterly basis, we will support 25 smallholders. And the final indicator in this program is the Farmer Field School framework developed. The framework will be approved on the 4th quarter. In the 2nd quarter, we will present the draft framework for the Farmer Field School. Next slide, please. Which brings us to the last program, which is economic development, trade and marketing. The purpose of this program is to promote economic development, trade and market access for agricultural products and foster international relations for the sector. This program has got 3 sub-programs and 1 entity. The first sub-program is international relations and trade. The second sub-program is cooperatives development. The third one is agro-processing and marketing. And finally, our entity, the National Agricultural Marketing Council. Next slide. The indicators and targets for program 4. The first one, the indicator is the report on Agri-BEE fund compiled. We are targeting to produce an approved annual report of the Agri-BEE on the 4th quarter. And the next indicator is report on bilateral engagements coordinated. We will produce a final report which is approved on the fourth quarter on the bilateral engagements coordinated. And the next indicator is report on multilateral engagements wherein the department would have participated in. We are targeting to deliver an approved annual report on the multilateral engagements. The report will be provided on the fourth quarter. And the last indicator in this program is the number of smallholder producers capacitated in agricultural marketing. We have targeted 300 for 26-27 financial year, which will be disaggregated. Q1, it will be 50, Q2, 100, Q3, 100, and Q4, it will be 50, aggregating to 300. The next slide, please. Now, in this slide, which is Annexure B, we are referring to the standardized indicators. These are the 31 uniform standardized indicators that are implemented by all provincial departments of agriculture through the conditional grants. Honorable members are aware that we are having a concurrent function with the provincial departments of agriculture, and some of the functions are implemented at the level of the PDAs, and we fund them through the conditional grants. So these indicators are jointly developed by the department at national office together with the PDA management through a process coordinated by the department at national office. Standardized indicators are implemented through the 6 provincial department of agriculture programs, namely the first one, which is sustainable resource use and management, that is not considering program 1, which is administration. It's starting with the technical line, which is, the second program, sustainable resource use and management, agricultural producer support and development, veterinary services, agricultural research and technology development, agricultural economic services, agricultural education and training. So we are actually providing oversight to the above programs by coordinating quarterly MinTech working groups to look into the progress as well as challenges of implementation, where the national department, through technical lines, of course, provide recommendation for improvement. Can we get to the next slide, please? So these are the standardized indicators and targets. I'm not sure as to whether I should go through these indicators. We have shown all the different targets per program, per province, in terms of the 31 indicators. The first one on sustainable resource use and management, the indicators that are there, it's number of agricultural infrastructure established, number of hectares of agricultural land rehabilitated, number of people employed in green jobs, number of farm management plans approved, number of awareness campaigns on disaster risk reduction conducted, number of assessment on uptake of early warning information conducted. Next slide, please. On the next program, which is agricultural producer support and development, the indicators thereof is number of commercial producers supported, number of smallholder producers supported, number of producers trained on smallholder empowerment promotion, which is the SHEP, number of producer study groups supported by extension practitioners, number of household producers supported. Next slide. On the next program regarding veterinary services, we have number of samples collected for targeted animal diseases surveillance, number of visits conducted to epidemiological units for veterinary interventions, number of veterinary export certificate issued, number of inspection conducted on the facilities producing and handling meat, number of veterinary laboratory tests performed according to the approved national standards, number of performing Animals Protection Act, the PAPA registration licenses issued. And on the next program, which is Agricultural Research and Technology Development Services, the indicators thereof is number of agricultural research projects implemented, number of scientific papers published, number of research presentation made at peer review events, number of research presentation made at technology transfer events, number of new technologies developed for the smallholder producers, and finally, number of research infrastructure managed. On the agricultural economic services, the indicators thereof is number of agribusinesses supported with marketing services, number of clients supported with production economic services, number of agri-BEE clients supported with agri-BEE advisory services, number of clients supported with agro-processing initiatives, number of economic reports compiled, and the next slide, please. Agricultural education and training. We have number of students who have completed an agricultural qualification and number of participants trained in skills development in the sector. Not all provincial departments have agricultural colleges. In certain instances, some provinces, they actually allocate the work of skills development in program 1, and others they do it in program 3 on farmer support. I think I've come to the end of the APP, honorable members, Minister DDG Sirache and colleagues on the platform. I thank you. I think now the next slides will be in terms of the E&E and the budget for the department.
Okay,
Estimate
thank
of
you,
national
Mamboloti.
expenditure.
Thank you. They can go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, honorable members. I can only start.
Can you just quickly
Hello?
show your face? Dexter, can you show your face and switch off your video? Yeah, we recognize you. You can switch off your video now. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, honorable members, minister, DDGs, and my colleagues. What I'm going to do is just take you through the E&E for the 2026-2027 financial year. The first slide talks to the programs. I'm not going to go into much detail with it. In program 1, as you can see what we've done from the portfolio committee, they've requested we must also give the 2025-26 so that we can see how does the budget increase or decrease. So we have done that. And so in terms of program 1, as you can see, members, that in terms of the change of the the budget from program 1 from 900 million to 1 billion. The change was 6.1%, of which the total budget for program 1 represents 13.2% of the total budget of the DOA. In terms of program 2, the change of the budget was 4.6% from 2.4 billion to 2.5 billion, which represent for program 2, it's 33.1% of the total budget of the department. In program 3, it's a 0.6% change from the previous budget, which is 41 of the this branch for 3 billion. It's 41.9% of the total budget of for the department. In terms of program 4, 900 million, the change from the previous year was 6%, and this program, the total budget allocation percentage is in 11.8%. As you can see, the change of the budget in total from the previous year was 3.2%. Thank you. Next slide, Anastasia. This is just a summary per program. Program 1, it's 13%. Program 2, 33% of the budget. Program 3, it's 42%. And program 4, 12% in terms of per program. Thank you. Next slide. In terms of economic classifications, the differences, as you can see, for the provincial and local government classification from the previous budget is minus 2.5%, of which the budget of 2.3 billion represents 30.6% of the total budget of the department. Compensation of employees, 1.6 billion. The change from the previous budget, original budget, is 3.7%, which represents 21.2% of the total budget. Goods and services, 1.5 billion, 3.7%, which represents 20% of the budget. And departmental agencies and accounts, 1.2 billion. It's 0.9% change from the previous year, which represents 16.5% of the total budget. And in public operations, it's the change of the previous budget is 11%, of which represent 8% of the total budget. Buildings and fixed noble structures, for the total budget, it's 1.4%, and the change, there is a huge increase from the previous budget because of the buildings that we had to take over. It's 108%. And then foreign government international organizations, it's 51 million. It has a change of 37.7%, which represents 0.7% of our total budget. Households, 50 million. It's 92% increase, of which represents 6.6% of the total budget. And then machinery and equipment is also 51%. It's difference, which is 0.4%. And in software and intangible assets, it's represent 0.1% of our total budget. Next slide. Then in terms of the land care program grant in descending order for KwaZulu-Natal, you can see the budget, it's 15 million. The change from the previous is 4.6%, which represent 15.7% for the budget for this program. Limpopo, 14 million, 4.6 difference, which represent 15.2%. Eastern Cape, 14%, which it's a 4.6 different from the previous budget. It represents 15% of the budget. Mpumalanga, 10 million, it's a change of 3.4%, which represents 10.9% of the total budget. Northern Cape, The change in percentage is 20.4%, which represent 10.5% of the total budget. Free State, the change is 3.3%, which represent 10.3% of the total budget. Northwest, as you can see, there is a minus 10%, which represent 9% of the total budget. Western Cape, 4.5% increase from the previous budget, which represents 7.3% of the total budget. And then Gauteng is an increase of 2.4%, which represents 6% of the total budget. The change, and then the next one is in the CASP infrastructure. In terms of the increase on the year-on-year, Eastern Cape, there's a minus 1.2%, which represents 13% of the total budget. And then next is Free State, which is an increase of 1.8%, which represents 12.7% of the total budget. KwaZulu-Natal, minus 26.9, which represents 12.7% of the total budget. Mpumalanga, 9%, which represents also 12.6% of the total budget. Limpopo is an increase of 2.6%, which represents 12.6% of the total budget. Northwest, it's an increase of 1%, which represents 11.5% of the total budget. Northern Cape, 19.7% increase, which represents 9.1%. Western Cape has increase of 9.6%, which represents 8% of the total budget. And then Gauteng, increase of 12.4%, which represents 7.6% of the total budget. So then in terms of the this, you'll see there's no comparison because there wasn't figures for the 2025-26, but for the 2026-27 budget, for this part of the pillar of the CASP project is in Eastern Cape. It's 12% of the total budget, 87 million. KwaZulu-Natal, 12.4% of the total budget allocation. Limpopo, 12.3%. Free State, 12%. Northwest, 11.6%. Mpumalanga, 11.6%. Northern Cape, 11.6%. Western Cape, 9.7%. And Gauteng, 6.4% of the total budget of 704 million. Then in terms of CASP extension recovery plan, for this program part, the highest now Limpopo has an increase of 2.9%, which represents 18.5%. Eastern Cape, it's an increase of 3.6%, which represents 17.5%. Mpumalanga, KwaZulu-Natal, it's 3.3%, which represents 13.6%. Mpumalanga at 6.2%, which represents 10% of the budget. Northern Cape, there's an increase of 3.1%, which represents 9.3% of the total budget. Free State, 2.7% increase, which represents 9.1%. Northwest, it's an increase of 3%, which represents 8.1% of the budget. Gauteng, there's an increase of 2.2%, which represents 7.7%. And then Western Cape, there's an increase of 3.1%, which represents 5.7% of the total budget, which there's a change of 3% in totality. Then in terms of departmental agencies, it's the ARC. As you can see, there's only a change of 0.69% or 1%, which represents 96% of the total budget allocation. And then the National Agricultural Marketing Council will get 49 million, 4% increase change, of which it represents 3.8% of the budget. And then primary agriculture sector education and training authorities, 700,000. It's 100%. It's increase. It's a new allocation, which is 0.1%. And then for under support and PPECB, 0% allocation. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, members.
Thank you. Next is
I
the,
stand back.
thank you. Are you done now?
Thank you, honorable members. Yes, we are done. We've done the APP and the EME. Back to you, Minister.
Maybe before the minister responds, I think we will always preserve the last remarks to the minister in terms of the questions that will be posed. That's the order of our engagements. So, without wasting any time, I would request that my colleagues must indicate those who want to participate. I can see Honorable Van der Berg, Honorable Boshoff. In that order, are there still some colleagues who want to participate? Okay, we'll know them as they come. Yeah, in that order, it will be Honorable Van der Berg, Honorable Boshoff, Honorable Muntwedi, and then Honorable Sitola, in that order. Over to you, colleagues.
Chairperson, my hands also.
Yes, Pinar, thank you. In that order, thank you. Van der Berg, you can shoot,
Thank
honorable
you.
member.
Thank you, Chair. I'm there. I wrote down a couple of questions, and as your presentation went, there was some answers, but there are also ones that I still definitely need to know. We follow a system where we ask the questions, and then the department reacts, and then the next person gets a chance, because it's easier to then make sure that all questions have been answered. I'm going to start on slide 15. Where I was shocked to see that you only managed to digitize only 4% of departmental processes. How will you be able to check on double dipping, for instance, or poor productivity, or acquisition and price controls not to pay too much for products, ghost workers, and so that you don't have interdepartmental silos? If you are not digitized and able to plan, to have a dashboard to see what's happening in your department, if you can just explain that to me. Then you have referred to, or I'm referring to, struggling state-funded farming projects. Our oversight visits have revealed a stark contrast between commercial enterprises and state-funded farm projects, coupled with the struggling CPAs fighting over resources. You have not reported on to what your plan is, how you will address this huge stumbling block. It is definitely feasible, or one of the more important factors holding agriculture back in South Africa. And I think we need some answers on that. You have not spoken to foot and mouth, the same story, a very important indicator of your service delivery. And it can put your department in a very negative light. I would like to have some more information on that. And then when we do oversight visits to provincial agriculture departments, we normally find them in a slumber, people sitting around, etc. Now I know it's legislature departments, but you are funding them. How are you managing this to see that you get proper bang for buck when you fund these departments? Slide 27 shows indicators. Are you regularly visiting formal farmers also? And what are your relationship with and indicators of this sector? Thank you. Slide 34, program 1. I see no expenditure on honest support, but when we did our oversight visit, the dry freezers were not commissioned yet due to outstanding accounts. Can you explain this to me? I see some money going to ARC, but not to honest support. and we need to understand how we're going to get those things going. They need those freezers to be able to move away from refrigerating the antidotes, etc., so that it can be put into pill form. Then my last one, on slide 38, it shows a 21.5% of the budget going to employees. Now, does this include all the veterinarians that you also so desperately need in the different areas, or are they paid by the provinces? And if so, if they are paid there, are you not a very bloated organization? And how are you measuring your productivity? Thank you. That's it from me.
Thank you, Van der Berg. Over to you, Minister, and your team. After that, after answering the questions, the follow-up will be done by Honorable Boshoff, and then that order. Please, over to you, Minister and the team.
Thank you very much, DDG Saraki. If you could just arrange for the presenter to respond.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Minister. We will start with the ADDG Wutsle will take the questions that she's captured relating to program 3, and the Dunster you'll follow with the allocations, the budget, but I'll take care of the OBP and ARC allocation, no worry about that, but talk to the broader financial questions. And CD fund, you may come in terms of the ratio or whether we are not a bloated structure, but I'll also come in with regard to the veterinary questions with regard to the salaries, but you can talk to whether the department is not bloated or not. And those that relate to basic planning, and the deputy and Mamuluzi, you'll come in that order, please.
Yes, the team, you are given the platform to respond as directed by the DDG. Thank you.
Yes. Yes.
Good afternoon to honorable members and to Minister and the colleagues. I'll respond to one question that the honorable member raised around the disparity between the resources or the support that we give to commercial farmers and particularly the subsistence and household level. We do, honorable member, have different support packages for farmers, but specifically for the one that you referred to of the scanty support to subsistence farmers, we do have a program that is dedicated to household and those lower level categories of farmers, subsistence and household, called Ilimalizima. And we do make allocations to provinces to allocate based on their business planning to those farmers. And to maybe also refer to your question, honorable member, of saying, what do we do to the monies or the support that we give to provinces? We do have structured monitoring to those projects, especially those that we do was not necessarily funded by equitable share, but by our conditional grants that we do transfer to the provinces. Thank you, DDG.
Thank you very much. You follow it. Are you following CD Khan style? Carry on. Then
Yes,
Dunster, ACD Dunster will follow thereafter.
Yes, DDG, thank you. ADG, thank you so much. And good afternoon, honorable members. Good afternoon, Minister. I'm addressing the question of whether or not our department is bloated or not. Having split from the Department of Dalat, the Department of Agriculture and Rural Development, are applying the principle of 60-40. We currently have a post-establishment of 2,166. We are a small department. We are not really bloated. We actually are very, very skeletal in terms of capacity on the ground to fulfill our mandate. We have just finalized our fit-for-purpose structure, which will probably see us moving from 2,166 post-establishment to a post-establishment of 3,443. Still, we are still below 500. We are still classified as a small department. As a department, we are not bloated. We are actually still struggling a lot in terms of capacity. I submit, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. I think let the meeting flow just as the DDG has outlined. Who is going to respond to which question? Let that flow without me getting into that, please.
Yeah, thank you, DG. DG, I think there was only one for the budget honor support allocation. Why it was 0, and you've indicated you will respond to that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let me take the other questions, honorable members. The question with regard to digitization, you'll come to it, Memuluti. Just to elaborate where we are, where we started from, and where we are, just to give a picture. This is a process that we've just started. We are practically a new department, and so we just most of the things we just are really starting up. We do have it responded to the follow-up with regards to whether we'll be monitoring. The question I found very important to clarify, honorable members, is that you look at the slide that has allocations and you've got 0 under OBP. Now, OBP is an incorporated company with the department as a sole shareholder, and OBP is supposed to fund itself, its operations. It's a scheduled public entity and is supposed to raise funds and it's supposed to be self-funding. We allocated a 0. It was a process that we followed with National Treasury. This is just to allow the sole shareholder, the department, to contribute financially should a need arise as and when the business of OBP grows. The freeze dryers that the honorable member referred to were actually, one of them was actually purchased by the department as a shareholder, as part of contribution towards improving vaccine production. So it remains a 0, so that at any point, if we, as a department, as a shareholder, we see a need to invest, we will be able to invest without having to follow a process of getting Treasury to approval to allocate funding. So that 0, it allows us to be on standby and ready as a shareholder to invest in the OPP should a need arise. Now, why allocation to ARC? The 1.2 billion rand that is there at ARC, just to give a bit of a background, this is a parliamentary grant, and it was established maybe more than 5 years ago, when the entity, which is also a scheduled public entity, is supposed to operate and make and retain profit. It experienced serious financial challenges at the time, and the parliament then realized that because ARC is a state-owned entity, there was a need for financial injection. So the parliamentary grant was then established. So it's just basically to augment the funding, basically to salaries of the organization. Just to give a bit of context, when ARC was enacted in 1990, the ARC Act 1990, I wouldn't say it's a mistake, but there was no direct funding model like you would have with other science entities like CSIR. So this parliamentary grant seeks in many respects to correct the mistake, if you like, where in the ARC Act, when it was enacted in 1990, there was that clearing omission. So this is a continuous parliamentary grant, as you would have with other science entities or other entities of government that receive from their mother department financial injection. So that's why you would see that there's that standing 1.2 billion rand. It increases slightly over the years. Why PPCP? There's zero there. Also, PPCP is also a scheduled public entity, and it's supposed to generate funding, which it does in terms of the levies, and it does not really require any funding. But should the department would, in the event PPCP has a new project that requires additional funding, the same treasury process that I explained, which we followed with regard to OBP, we will follow. But at the moment, PPCP is self-funding and self-sustaining. It requires no additional funding. Hence, you will see a zero there. Let's come to the veterinarians. The National Department of Agriculture has its own veterinarians, who are in the main performing the regulatory function, and in the main, their job is to design policies and to enhance the regulatory framework, and the provincial departments implements those. So the salaries that we see here are only for the veterinarians and para-veterinarians that are part of the Department of Agriculture, National Department of Agriculture. Just to give a bit of a context, South Africa has around 4,000 veterinarians. Only about less than 300 are in the state employ. So about 280 or so are employed by government including the 9 provinces and the National Department of Agriculture. The National Department of Agriculture itself, I think it doesn't have more than 30 veterinarians itself, including those at senior management and those that are operating. But another point to make here for members just also to enrich the context is that annually we receive a special allocation of around 240 million rand for the compulsory community service work of veterinarians, which is a part of the regulatory framework. In other words, for them, before the veterinarians, after qualifying, before they can practice, they have to undergo a compulsory community service, the same as you would have the ComServe with the medical doctors. So that allocation is not showing here because it comes as a special allocation for the veterinarians. Our intake is around 140 or so every year, depending on how many pass at the university. So that's the situation with regard to the veterinarians. Other than that, I think we covered all the questions that were raised by Honorable Van den Berg. Thank you very much. Over to you, Chair, Honorable Chair.
Thank you. The next honorable member on the line will be Honorable Boshoff for question. Thank you. Over to you, Honorable Boshoff.
Thank you very much, Honourable Mabilo. As Acting Chair, good afternoon to the Minister. Welcome to our meeting and to your team. Thank you very much for the presentation. Before I start on the questions, I just want to take a moment to congratulate you, Minister, and your team for vaccinating around 2.59 million cattle already. That says a lot to us, and it is helping us in curbing this foot and mouth disease. And I see that we've already received the 2 million doses from Turkey, and of the 6 million, and then we're also getting another 5 million from Argentina. Well done. Thank you for that. I think it should be noted and mentioned. DDG, on biosecurity and disease surveillance, could you possibly tell us what immediate measures is your department prioritizing this year to strengthen the prevention and the rapid response capacity, particularly with regard to FMD? And then I see in the APP, it identifies slow digitalization as a challenge. Yet the annual target systems digitalized remains relatively modest. What key digital reforms in this department do you believe will make the biggest operational difference this year? And then with regard to the agro processing and marketing allocation, how will the department ensure continued support for value addition and market access opportunities for producers? Now, with regard to hemp, your APP refers to hemp adaptability research and demonstration sites across several provinces. DGG, could you indicate what the next practical step is in moving hemp from research and pilot projects towards meaningful commercial participation and opportunities for emerging farmers? And then with regard to the budget, the finances, the department's overall budget increase for 26-27, in my mind, is relatively modest at 3.2%. DGD, what measures are being put in place to ensure that service delivery and farmer support are still maintained under these fiscal pressures? And there's a notable increase in funding for inspection and quarantine services. Could you elaborate on how this additional allocation will strengthen the agricultural trade and biosecurity outcomes? And then with significant allocations continuing toward farmer support and extension services, how is the department going to ensure that support reaches producers efficiently and then translates into sustainable production growth? Thank you, Acting Chair.
Thank you. Over to you. Thank you, Honorable Boshoff. Over to Minister and your team and the DG to respond to the questions.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'll take I think out of the 7 questions from Honorable Boshoff, DDG would then please be ready to just take the honorable members through the extension support, how we roll out, which is the last question from Honorable Boshoff. But otherwise, I'll take all the others. They fall within the branch I lead. And in between, and if CIO is part, please be on standby. Let me know so that you also show the digitization, the transformation that we're going. Otherwise, I'll also take that. But please, CIO, if you're here, just be on standby for that. Biosecurity and surveillance, if you can show, just go back to the slides on the indicators where we show surveillance, if you can. That will assist to articulate the response to the questions raised by Honorable Boshoff. So there is 2 types of surveillances, both for phytosanitary purposes and sanitary purposes. In other words, for surveillance against plant and plant diseases and surveillance against animal diseases. What we do is we have surveillances that are standard. These are on, let's start with animals, on diseases, animal diseases that we do not have. If you can just go back to the slides on the indicators, Mayor Anastasia, there's where we show the surveillance. I just want to illustrate from that slide. So this is where we perform both passive and active surveillance. So it's not on an E&E, the other one on the surveillances with the number of surveillances. Go back. I'll tell you. Keep going back.
Slide 19. Slide 19.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Honorable Member. So the number of plant pest risk surveillances, this is where we have traps around the country. These are pheromones which would attract insects or pests that we do not have in the country. So if a pest is introduced by either travelers or by other means, which pest is exotic, in other words, it's not native to South Africa. If not controlled, that pest can then establish itself into a dangerous pest because one would not have what we call natural enemies. So if you look at the whole food chain, each and every animal has got a predator or a natural enemy, which we call in science natural enemy. Now we set up these traps at key strategic areas, the ports of entry, and where we think there will be a potential for introduction of this pest. So this is an active surveillance part. So we check this pheromones we regularly. It addresses the question on inspection services, Honorable Boshoff, because we've got inspectors whose job is to go set out these traps throughout the country and go service. In other words, go check if we've been able to trap a virus that or will trap an insect or a pest. For instance, if you look at exotic fruit fly, we do not have it in South Africa. And if it were to establish it itself in South Africa, we may not be able to control it because one, we do not have chemicals ready to protect it. Two, it may not have natural enemies, so it can easily spread. So if we pick that up, we would know then that there is a exotic fruit fly, and we set out to go and ensure that it's destroyed. Citrus greening is one of the diseases that also we do not have, and if this is caused by a virus, and if we suspect that there are viruses, as and when we go about the surveillance, automatically, if a citrus orchard is infected by citrus greening, the next thing you have to do is to demolish the entire orchard and start afresh. Hence, we resources going towards just ensuring that we survey. BPTV is banana bunchy top virus. This also is one of the viruses that we do not have in the country, and there's active surveillance also just to ensure that we do not have. So this continues on a day-to-day basis. Now, animal production, the FMD, obviously, Honorable Boshoff referred to it. The minister has just gazetted the Section 10 scheme, which is basically going to ensure that there's a closer and coordinated, we improve the management of the foot and mouth disease and also the surveillance. This is part of the strategy that we have, the 10-year strategy that we have. And with this strategy, we'll then be able to record, after we shall have vaccinated all animals and continue with booster vaccination, the science indicates that we may then be able to subdue further spread, and we'll go back to then be going towards targeted vaccination. This is ongoing. We're finalizing also the animal movement control measure, which is in terms of Section 9 of the Animal Disease Act. This is going to allow us to be able to monitor movement of animals throughout the country. And it is going to be then, once that is gazetted, it will then become illegal for anybody to contravene a movement without authorization, without notification. And that is another way of ensuring that surveillance is going to happen. And then the other surveillance that we do, what we see there as PPR, is a pestet petitus ruminant. This is a disease of sheep and goat, and we do not have in the country. This one, as our scientists, vets will tell us that it's worse than FMD. So if we were to have this PPR, it will clean out all our sheep and goats. So we spend resources, and so far we've been able to ensure that it never gets established in the country, because we conduct surveillances at all ports of entry, at all points that we identified as a risk to the country. So we ensure that we do not have it. So far, with the surveillances that we perform, both active and passive surveillances, we've been able to keep it at bay. CBPP also, this is a pneumonia of cattle. Just to simplify, this is basically a disease of cattle. B meaning the bovine, which is cattle. This is a pleuropneumonia, PP, that is the contagious bovine pleuropneumonia. That's we see CBPP. So this is a disease of cattle and related animals. So bovine would be cattle, and the same cattle and buffaloes, and those are classified as bovines. So if the animals have this TB, we do not have it in the country, and we are making sure that through surveillances we are able to keep them at bay. So I'm sorry it took time. I just wanted to show that there's active and passive surveillances that we are currently performing, to ensure that we do not introduce these diseases. And we pick these ones up for two reasons. One is because once they establish or there's an outbreak, we'll have difficulty eradicating them. And secondly, is because we do not have and we want to remain free of this, both the pest at the top, exotic fruit fly, citrus greening, and banana bungee top virus, and the FMD, the PPR for goats and sheep, and the CBPP for bovine, that is to be cattle and buffaloes. The next one is about the key digital reform. Yes, we agree. We acknowledge that we've not moved as sufficiently as we should as a department, because we basically are busy digitizing our processes. But we're happy to report to the committee that we are one of the few countries that is able to have in the export of fruits and vegetables area, that we are able to have the inspection and the issuing of the authorization without human manipulation. In other words, we've got what you call ECERT. The ECERT platform is a fully digitized platform, which used to be manual and paper-based, and it took time. Just to give an illustration, we export citrus fruits, just citrus alone, from over 20,000 orchards throughout the country. So this means each and every row on each of these 20,000 orchards have got to be walked by an inspector, literally walking row by row. Now, if it's paper-based, it was just cumbersome. Now we've got a platform called, as part of the ECERT, which is an online format. If an inspector walks and using a platform we call e-inspect, as and when the inspector finishes inspecting that orchard, from wherever at Lisitele or Citrus Dal, at the click of the button, the inspection report goes into the portal. Immediately it's picked up in Pretoria, and if everything else complies, what we call a phytosanitary certificate is issued, and is not issued by a person, the system itself, and is deposited into a portal which is hosted in Italy, which is the portal under the International Plant Protection Convention. This is where other countries would then pick up that South Africa has issued a phytosanitary certificate. In other words, South Africa has cleared a farm at Citrus Dal as free of the pests, so that farm, the consignment that is going to be loaded and comes en route to the farm has been cleared by South Africa, has certified that. So that's how far we've managed to go, but we still have a lot to digitize all our platforms, most of which are gradually digitizing. But I agree, there's a lot of investment in the digitalization that we still have to do. And the e-tech system, we've piloted a process which you call LIDS, Livestock Identification and Traceability System, which has been fully developed. It's about implementation. This is about animal movement control. So in other words, as soon as an animal is inspected wherever in the country, if it will have to, all animals will, once this is in full operation, all animals will have to have ear tags or another portable RFID means. So as and when an inspector is done with that animal and text it in the form of we call it the e-reader, is about a 60 centimeter device pointing at the animal. Once you're happy with whatever else, that information gets sent into the into the lead system. We are able to know that there's an animal anywhere in the country that has been inspected for whatever else that will be the intention of the inspection, or whether it has been vaccinated, just as a way of recording it. That system has been developed. We are in the final preparation to have it made a system of the department and thereafter the whole country. AMP value addition continuation this is, as members remember, is a program that all players in the sector are participating. We declared that during the sixth administration, there were still other role players who were not agreeing to the contents and were not signatory. With the seventh administration, Minister Steenhuisen has managed to have all others that were left behind have them joining the ANP. So ANP is fully supported as a program. There are joint meetings as part of the spin-offs of the ANP. We call them value chain roundtables. There's one on wool. There's one on horticulture, fruits and veggies. There's one on livestock. So these value chain roundtables are co-chaired by the department officials and the industry captains. So that's where issues about market access, issues about challenges experienced are addressed and readily resolved there. And if they require escalation, they get escalation. So this is where it's not department talking to itself, but we have the industry as the co-chairpersons of those value chain roundtables. So they're doing quite well. So there is continuity, Honorable Boshoff, and more will always be necessary, but that is actually already happening. Hemp. Members will remember that hemp master plan, when it was started, it was the Department of Agriculture was the key driver of the hemp master plan, cannabis master plan, which hemp is part of the cannabis master plan. During the 7th administration, this was moved to the Department of Industry, Trade, Industry and Competition. So the master plan itself has got about 11 pillars. The first 3 pillars about research, about seed multiplication, and about further research and adaptation resides within our department, and that's how far we can go. What we do is we pilot. The pilots, once we have the pilots conclude, we'll then issue a report, as members would have seen in our APP. The report then tells the Department of Trade, Industry and Competition with provincial departments which cultivars or varieties are suitable where, and they can take over. Our job as a National Department of Agriculture remains that of performing regulatory functions. In other words, importation of seeds if necessary, importation or seed or pest control, as well as registration of breeders as far as the cannabis master plan, specifically hemp. Why only hemp? The cannabis marijuana, we're not there yet. It is because the cannabis for private purposes bill has since been assented into law, but the process of developing regulations is still underway, and it is not done by our department. It is done by the Department of Justice. So we as soon as that happens and it is removed from classification as a drug, we can then start the process again of research and seed multiplication and seed research and adaptation. At the moment, the focus is only on hemp, the cannabis hemp, the one with lower THC. The fiscal pressure, yes, we really have fiscal pressure. Members have seen the numbers; they are not going. In fact, to date, we spent over 300 million rand just on FMD, and we do not have any further funding. And this couldn't have been planned for. So we do really hope, honorable members, after going through our presentation, AP presentation, would assist our minister to get to ensure that they motivate for further and more additional budgets to the department. Inspections, it's not enough. So a portion of this amount, I spoke of ESET. ESET is a system that I spoke of, which is busy developing. At the moment, it is only finished all the export modules. We are now beginning to build the import modules, and hence the digitalization, which I said, is continuing. So once the import modules, in other words, at the moment we're using it to facilitate export, and we need to use it to facilitate import, for it to interface with SARS, to interface with BMA, so that we can be able to facilitate import. And at the moment, we need funding to be able to add modules in the same system. Once that is done, all dogs and everything else and snakes and all others that travelers come with into the country will be processed through the system. At the moment, they're still manual. So we still need more funds at the inspection services. And again, there are 13 pieces of legislation under Minister Steenhuisen. All of this have got to be enforced. we only have a few assignees that have successfully been able to establish themselves and are assisting the department. We have appointed other assignees that, unfortunately, because of the demanding and technical and scientific nature of the work of the department, they could not do the work, and we've since had them revoked. So it means we need to be able to have inspectors on the ground from anything from liquor, beer, wine, whiskey, everything that vodka coming into the country has got to be inspected. So we need inspectors on the ground. Any food products, canned products, canned and everything else have got to be inspected. So we need more boots on the ground. If you think of biosecurity as in line with security in terms of police, the more the better. We need more. We do not have enough of the numbers. About 2,500 posts that we have. We need. I think for inspections alone, we need about 1,000 in order for us to be able to sufficiently cover the countries. I think I've covered up all 6 questions from Honorable Boshoff. I'll hand over to you, ADG Motsileng, to take the members through the question, to respond to the question on extension support. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Saraje. Honorable Boshoff's question was, the bulk of our budget goes to farmer support, and as a department, what do we do to ensure that that support reaches the intended farmers? Honorable Member, we do the money that you see in that our financial report going to farmer support is basically the conditional grant that we give to provinces through the Division of Revenue Act. And that support is based on the business planning that we get from provinces. We do have 2 streams of monitoring that we use to follow our money. One is our classical monitoring and evaluation unit of the department that will go around to verify some of the projects that provinces would have indicated that they are supporting. But we have since come up with a strategy as part of our quarterly review meetings of these conditional grants. We rotate in provinces. Instead of convening such meetings in Pretoria or in any town, we go to provinces so that it becomes just not only listening to reports, but we go down the ground to see the reports that the projects that are being reported to. So that is the money that we give to provinces, and that is how we follow through over and above the reports that we get. We go down, particularly for the conditional grants ones that we give to provinces. Thank you, Honorable Member.
Thank you, ADG Motsileng. Honorable Chairperson, we ready for the next?
Honorable Mutwedi, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Acting Chairperson. A very good day to everyone in the platform, the Minister and officials. I have a number of questions. I've been looking at my pages, it's about 3 pages. And I think DDG and the Minister is because the last time I interacted with you was some 2 years ago. But let me start. Maybe if I can just make this opening remarks, Chair, that for the 2026-2027, we see a shrinking in terms of the resources, whereas the mandate of the departments is actually growing. And my concern is a decline of, a real decrease of about 4.56%. And you find programs like Program 3, which are very key programs, your food security and support, being mostly affected by this decline. But I want to start my questions by saying, why does Program 1, which is administration, grow by 7.6%? While key and important frontline programs, especially your food security and plant health, are getting a decline. Now, and how do you justify 11.2% real cut on the food security support, with food insecurity underlying rising, and the SONA commitments are also expanding. And the other thing that I just raised is around the plant production and health. There's an 18.2% cut during the period. And we know that we have an increasing pest and climate risks. And how will these affect compliance with international phytosanitary standards? Now, the other issue, DG, the minister, there's a matter that was taken through the minister. I also got to be to know of the matter around the registration of the fertilizers in terms of Act 36 of 1947 of your department. Now, I want to know, how is this APP addressing the that issue in terms of the delay of registering of fertilizers? And is this APP building capacity in the unit dealing with this matter? Now, the other issue, Chair, is around extension officers. We see that only 1,000, we see that the extension officers, in terms of your APP, you are only committing to placement of 1,000 agricultural graduates on farms, when we know that the president announced, even before the president, your former minister, Toko Didiza, announced the 10,000 extension services in 2019. You'll correct me if I'm wrong, but the state president also announced the 10,000 extension officers in 2026 SONA. Now, where is the budget, Minister, for the remaining 9,000 extension officers? We know that the extension services is a very critical component of the work that Mebo just responded now, that through the business plan they get from provinces where extension officers in the main are involved, they get to fund some of those projects. So where is the remaining in terms of that? Now, the issue of veterinarian care. When the presenter was presenting, she spoke of samples collected, inspections, and so forth. Now, I want to check with the department, what this APP, how does it address the, I think a year or so ago, we had 45% vacancy rate in terms of veterinary services. How does this address that? Because we know that veterinarians, we are short as a country, and it's a serious risk that has continued to affect us as a country. And we've witnessed this at the height of the FMD, where we had so many challenges. Now, Chair, the other issue is around the biosecurity hub. And in your APP, Chair, the APP, I mean, they're saying the department will institutionalize the National Biosecurity Hub. And yet we know that around 2022, DG, the hub was already launched in 2022. Now, is this an admittance on your side that the hub has not been functional since it was launched in 2022 and for 4 years? Or is this APP misrepresenting the status of the biosecurity hub? Now, the other issue, Chair, is around the agricultural colleges. Minister, you remember a year or so ago, you had a meeting with principals of agricultural colleges, I think at Sidara, if I'm not mistaken. But and they raised a serious concerns around the challenges. Now, how is this APP addressing those challenges that were raised by all principals of agricultural colleges, especially with regards to infrastructure? Those challenges: infrastructure development, support, not having trading accounts, and everything that the principals raised because you were in that meeting. How is this APP addressing that? And I'm having a problem because you are acknowledging here that funds were reprioritized away from agricultural colleges to fund an important factor, which is the FMD, which we need to get money to fund FMD. But how did you decide to say, let's shift funds from agricultural colleges? In their current format, they are collapsing. There are challenges. There's budget shortfalls in agricultural colleges. How did you get to make such a decision to cripple them further? When a year or so ago, you had a meeting with them, you agreed in terms of how you're going to see to it that you you assist those agricultural colleges from the status that they are in. The other issue, Chair, is around the ARC. And we see that the ARC received a nominal increase of 0.65%, but it's a real decrease of 2.62%. And the ARC has challenges. The ARC is running, is running trials in our various communities. I know they do not have the funds. They rely on farmers to fund production. In order for a farmer to prepare their lands and everything for the period of planting, they rely on the farmer because they do not have the money. But if still they do not receive enough funding, how is that not compromising the work that the ARC should be doing, because they do not get to fund some of these important trials that they are running? They rely on farmers to do that. So that is that around the ARC. On FMD, Chair, then I want to ask this, Ndate Sarah and the Minister. Did the department receive any vaccines during the period of 1 August 2025 to 31 December 2025? And where, if indeed you received vaccines then, where were they distributed? Perhaps this must not be responded now. Maybe in writing, the department must give us an indication on who received these vaccines in writing. And was the livestock industry consulted around the rollout of the vaccine? As in one meeting that we attended, Karen Beef raised a concern about the efficacy of the vaccines and also around the boosters, that there should be boosters every 3 months or so. So were they consulted? And whether are we getting FO, and when are we getting FMD boosters to support the already vaccinated livestock? Now, the other thing, Chair, is around the livestock identification and traceability. I think some 2-3 years ago, China indicated that they need a farm-to-fork traceability system in order for us to continue exporting our meat to them. Now, I want to find out how far are we in terms of dealing with these? Because I think the first part of dealing with this was for us to amend the current Animal Identification Act. How far are we in terms of that amendment of the Animal Identification Act? And is the list that you're talking about in its current form, is it mandatory for people to use it in the absence of an amendment in terms of that act? Now, my last 2 questions, Chair, is around the blended finance program. We know, Chair, the challenges that the blended finance have had in a number of occasions. We know that the turnaround time are a serious challenge with the land bank. We know that currently sellers are refusing to enter into agreements with those that are going to participate through the land bank program, which will ultimately undermine the good intention of implementing the blended finance program, raising the issue of the delays in finalizing transactions, where at times it takes more than a year, transactions not finalized, where the land bank farmers that were actually approved, it takes more time to even fund farmers outside the production cycles. Now, I want to understand from the side of the department to say, what is the average time what is the average time it takes to finalize a transaction as soon as it is lodged with the land bank? And we had an issue some 2-3 years ago in our meeting, when I was still that side, where there was a challenge in terms of aligning the reporting period of the land bank with the department in terms of the expenditure of the land bank. I want to know if that has been corrected like that. And finally, do you have confidence as a department in the land bank to implement the blended finance program with all the challenges that we are all aware of, Minister? And ABSA came on board to implement also blended finance. I want to find out how many transactions thus far have been finalized through the ABSA as also one of those that are implementing. And my last one is around the Agri-BEE. I thought I would never hear anything about the Agri-BEE because there's never been any report that we get from the Agri-BEE fund. Maybe let me just ask now to say, so that I must not want people to rely on the experience that I've had over the years when I was in the committee. Let me ask, what was achieved in the previous financial year in terms of projects or programs that were run under the Agri-BEE? Will those, Chair, those are the questions. Oh, my last one is around food security targets without the funding. The department, you are saying you're going to support 60,000 households and commercialize 370 smallholder farmers. When farmer support is cut by 232.9 million and sector capacity development by 36%, tell us which targets will be missed as a result of this cut in terms of the budget that I just spoke about. With that, Modula Stilo Kabona, you can't wait for me to finish, but with that,
no, this is a period for members to engage. That's why I'm not disturbing anyone to do so.
No. Thank you,
So
Chair. My apologies. It was on a lighter note. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Without wasting time, the minister and the team will respond. Thank you, DDG.
Thank you very much, Honorable Montpelli. ADDG Sling will take care of the blended finance, food security, that's 10, 11, 12, 13. Food security, blended finance, Agri-BEE, those questions. And the question 4 on extension officer, ADDG Sling. The others, I think they fall within the program that I lead. Yes. As we start, thank you very much, Honorable Mugeri, for the questions. We also have a challenge with budget. All of us would hope for more funding. Why is program 1 growing while others are declining? It's unfortunately a harsh reality, but I said in the beginning that we're a new department. We're still setting up. We don't even have a CFO as we speak. We're still trying to, after the split, we lost a lot of positions that we had. And unfortunately, we then have to re-establish new positions within the department. So the budget, additional budget was mainly just trying to ensure that we are able to cost and afford our fit for purpose organogram, which we have developed and is being consulted, final stages of it being consulted. And unfortunately, if we are not able to fund it, we will not have it concurred with by the Minister of Public Service and Administration and the National Treasury. So unfortunately, that is clear in reality is also our displeasure, Honorable Montori, Honorable members. We would, if members can assist us to get more funding, we would really also appreciate. At the moment, yes, the next question on the decline on the plant production and health. Again, this is just, it goes back to the same situation. The allocation of about 7 billion rand of the department has a better portion. You can display the ENE presentation, just a slide on the broad allocation, Mr. Dunster or Secretariat, just to show that of the 7 billion, the rest of it goes into CASP, that one goes to land care, and about less than 5 billion has got to make do. This is about we, as members are aware, this department, we have got other offices in other provinces because fire functions like the natural resources management are not concurrent. Plant health is not concurrent. So for those functions that are not concurrent, we still rely on outside offices. But besides, because of the nature of our work, we still have to have outside offices where Stellenbosch, Gqeberha, Northern Cape, DR, and other places. It is because we have got to have inspectors and have got to operate those offices. Is the budget enough? It's not enough. We also are lamenting this reality and we are appealing for assistance. Your observation, Honorable Mundudi, is spot on, perfect. Yes, we really do not have sufficient funding to be able to adequately deal with. If we were to have another outbreak of a plant disease now, this time around, we will really not have any way of battling it. How does this APP improve registration process at Act 36? Honorable the process at Act 36 is not necessarily a challenge in terms of the capacity to register products. The problem is the registration process itself is tedious, and members would be aware that we've just launched an online registration now, which is part of the digitization. Honorable Bosho, I forgot to mention this one. We are now able to have applications lodged online as opposed to when they used to be done with the submission of dossiers physically. But this does not make it easier because for those who want to register products, because the registration of products is a tedious, complicated process, and sometimes the owners of the products rely on consultants, and we've noticed over the years that that's where the problem is, because the consultant will just get to the initial stages of application and they submit and go away. When we follow up with questions and when we want to further get more information, there's no response. A year later, the consultant come and say, I've since applied a year ago, you're not responding. The Act 36 of 1947, it looks old, but it's one of the acts that has been updated with regulations, and it responds to real-time challenges. So it allows minister to appoint additional scientists and specialists for dossier evaluation. We've recently just appointed, Minister President just appointed a few additional technical advisors who will assist the department should a need arise. In other words, if we are to register a product and all other technical advisors and management advisors are busy, we can easily tap onto this team that minister has just appointed additional. So we do not necessarily have capacity challenges. The problem becomes a toing and a froing process between us and the applicants, because it's not easy. You need to generate data, for instance, and most of these products are not manufactured in South Africa. And for them to be registered in South Africa, we need dossier, toxicology, efficacy, and others reports that are generated within South African conditions. And sometimes applicants think it's something you can register it within a year. It's not. Most products you can't, because you need to generate those data using the real-time climatic conditions, the real-time production seasons. If you've got to wait for season, you have to harvest. So that takes time, and it looks at the face value, it looks like we are the ones that take long, but it's because the product registration itself is a tedious process. But if there are challenges, we really appreciate them escalated to us. Sometimes we are not privy as and when the technical people, the team engage with applicants. So we'll jump in immediately and intervene. But so far, all questions that have been forwarded to minister and to us, when we go delve deeper into the questions, we realize that it's actually nothing of our own making. It is because of data that without which we are not able to register any product. The DDG will come to one extension officer. Vet services, how does this address the vacancy rate? Do we have a high vacancy rate in South Africa? Veterinarians, we do. It's not as high as 45, at least for the national departments. But we accept that we do have vacancies. But the vacancies that we have at the national department, even in the new feed for purpose structure, will be funded, and so we do not necessarily need that many number of veterinarians at the national department. I mentioned also that we do get a special allocation, which is not reflecting here, for the compulsory community service of veterinarians. About 150 of those we receive every year, and we put them to deal with the primary animal health care. So the more funding we can get, the better. At the moment, we are just doing. We're just breaking even. We're floating. We're not at an ideal stage as far as the capacity of veterinary services is concerned. Your observation is correct, Honorable Ndori. We can do with more. Biosecurity Hub was launched, and at that time, we realized during the course of operation that it was actually not sufficiently institutionalized. What do we mean by that? That the due diligence, the allocation of responsibilities, the process flow those processes were not adequately attended to or were not adequately designed when we were doing the launch of the biosecurity hub. So the institutionalization which you see as part of the APP is also one of our ways of ensuring that we also track ourselves and ensure that we put it out there to the public so that they can measure our progress as and when we go about the institutionalization of this biosecurity hub. For now, there's a charter which then clarifies and identifies which roles must be played by the department, which roles must be played by the University of Pretoria, and in collaboration with other universities in the country and in the world, and which roles must be played by Department of Science, Innovation, Technology and Innovation. So now and also with their entity, the CSIR. So now the roles are clarified in the form of the charter. And it's basically this institutionalization, Honorable Member, it was just a continuation step after the launch. How is the APP addressed agricultural colleges? Question 7. You'll take care of it, DG Selling. The drinking budget, how does it affect ARC? It does badly. ARC is not operating at its optimum level. Like I said in the earlier response, it's not even able to access, for instance, the levies that commodity organizations pay. So that's one of those things that we need to look into. So ARC really survives on the parliamentary grant as well as the revenue that it generates, and so it's not enough. But the minister has since approved the commercialization unit that is going to be established within the ARC, which will see ARC commercializing all its intellectual property, and we hope for this to be able this will enable ARC to be able to perform on par with its peers such as the CSIR. FMD, yes, so with the report in writing, Honorable Mundwedi, we will submit that in writing to show how many vaccines we received from where, when, and what happened to each and every drop of those vaccines that we received, and the boosting. Once we're done, so we aim, still I think we are on course to be able to, Minister set us a target of vaccinating 80% of the national head. If national head, we're looking at 11 million, so it means 11.2 million animals have got to be vaccinated by end of December. By that time, we will then start with the boosting of the booster vaccinations. A point to be made here, Honorable Mudori and other members, is that this is unlike the vaccine we used to procure from BVI in Botswana, which has a lead time of 3 months, after which we needed to boost. This one can take us easily 6 months, so we monitoring that. And at the same time, one of the members also, the point that most citizens are not aware of is that it depends which animals are being vaccinated. Some animals in the feedlot, you need to go follow up with the vaccine and with the boosting because they'll be going for slaughter. We had this question also coming from the PC portfolio committee, because if you just through a linear extrapolation say number of animals vaccinated, come 6 months, you need to have the same doses coming to vaccinate, the same to boost. You would miss the mark because some of them would be in the final stages of going to the feedlots and slaughtering. So there's no need for them to follow up with the booster vaccine. And you'll have other animals that are coming, the calves that are coming up. So it's not this method is not to be interpreted just by means of a simple linear extrapolation. We need to take into account those farming realities. But we think Honorable Mundwedi will be ready to be able to vaccinate with booster vaccines when the time comes. Those that where we started, come 6 months, we should be able to start the following with boosting, especially the dairy animals, those who live longer. Leads was designed, the pilot was done, and we are piloting it now, but we're happy with the pilot. Does it have, do we have to amend AIDA in order to enforce leads? No. I think previously that's what we thought as a department, but going further and looking into also getting advice, legal advice, we realize that now that minister does not require any new law to enforce leads. The minister is empowered by Section 9 of the Animal Disease Act to give authority to leads. So as soon as all the server and finalization process of handing the program over to us from CSIR, we will have minister at an appropriate time issuing a directive for all animals in the country to have to be registered through leads or a system that interfaces with leads. Minister is empowered in terms of Section 9. There's no need for a new law for it to be enacted. And I'll leave the question 10, 11, 12, 13 to ADG Witseleng to talk to those. Thank you, ADG Witseleng.
Thank you so much, Ntate Serage. Honorable Montwedi, around the 10,000 extension officers, like you correctly cited, that this is an accrual from the previous administration. It was still the same target of 10,000 even during the 7th administration. We can confirm to you, Honorable Member, that we do not have a budget for this. Even in the previous administration, it was an announcement. The department made attempts within the limited resources that we have. It is the same situation even now. Whatever the little attempt that the department is making of recruiting with the 9 provinces extension officers is within the province's equitable share and ourselves nationally shifting and reprioritizing here and there, but we can confirm to you that there is no budget for this recruitment of the 10,000 extension officers. Around the depleting colleges of agriculture infrastructure and the 2026-27 budget cut, complete budget cut for colleges infrastructure. This was not the department's making. We were equally disappointed and shocked when the department received the allocation letter from the National Treasury. The allocation for colleges infrastructure, the college revitalization plan was cut. We did make a follow-up with National Treasury even through a letter. The department sent through a letter to indicate the repercussions of having a lull of a year without those infrastructures. And Honorable Member will appreciate that those are multi-year projects. You would have a contractor on site, contracted by the provincial department. Boom, the financial year starts, there is no such funding. We had made arrangements internally within our CASP to just sustain those projects that are multi-year, but this has an impact on the colleges. Your specific question again around the colleges was, what is how does this affect the APP? We took a decision in the year that ended a month ago. We had an APP on colleges of agriculture, the young people that are recruited through those colleges. But this year, with the refocusing of the resources, and because to somebody would think, how does infrastructure affect a recruitment? But it does have an effect in the long run. So we did not want just to put an APP that we would not have any control, financial and otherwise, to it. Your very interesting question, Honorable Member, around the meeting that the minister had with the principals from these colleges and their plea with the current status of the colleges and them being recognized or integrated into the national competence as per the prescripts of both the Higher Education Act and the Constitution. We can report that that process is unfolding. The 2 ministers just met last month, Minister Buti Manamela, and Minister Steenhuisen to consider the model and the approach that the 2 departments should take, because that will be the only solution for the question of a trading account. Should these colleges be integrated, it will solve a myriad of problems for them. The students there will access NSFAS, the the infrastructure would also be considered from all sorts of other funding, because they will now be juristic persons or autonomous, if you like, on honorable member. Around blended finance, and there were two questions around blended finance from your good self, Honorable Muntwedi. The one was specifically how much transactions did the department have with ABSA in particular. We can confirm that in the previous financial year, we had 100 producers that were supported through blended finance, and the 100 is made of the three financiers that are implementing a blended finance on our behalf: Land Bank, ABSA, and IDC. Specific for the ABSA is 28 out of that 100, 28 transactions were those from ABSA, and the remainder is the bulk, of course, from Land Bank and an IDC. Our relationship or the performance of Land Bank in as far as them as the administering blended finance for us, we had a problem, and that was due to their system hack, with aligning our reporting reporting times, theirs and the government one. But we have since resolved that, and we can report that we were able to perform blended finance, and that eventuality of Land Bank did not in any way affect our performance. They were able to give us all the reports that we needed before the financial year end. Other concerns or your impressions and observations that you have with Land Bank, we had a scheduled meeting with the CEO and DG that was to take place this week, just to iron out all those issues, Honorable Member, that you raised around Land Bank turnaround time in their transactions, and even timers reporting as and when we do need them as government. So we are addressing those. The Office of the Director General has arranged a meeting with the CEO and his team. Food security and the budget, the only budget we can account for in as far as food security and household is concerned is the portion of the conditional grant again through Ilimalizima. Food security is also not fully funded, and I heard Ntate Serage throughout the trail of his responses was also saying where the members can assist in helping us to mobilize resources for all these very critical targets that we are not able to attend to. We will really do appreciate. I submit, Acting DG. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We submit, Honorable Chairperson. We're ready for the next Honorable Member.
Thank you, Acting DG. We'll hand over to Honorable Sitole, followed by Honorable Pinar, and then Muntwedi, 2 questions. And then we hand over to the Minister. I'll have 2 to 3 comments and questions. Thank you very much. Over to you, Honorable Sitole, and Honorable Pinar after Sitole, after the responses. Thank you.
No, thank you very much, Acting Chairperson, and good afternoon to the Minister, the DDG, and the team. I hope I'm audible because I'm in the airport right now, as you know that I'm traveling to Bloemfontein. My first question, Chairperson, is on the SWOT analysis. I want to understand if I can be given an indication if you don't have a strong relations with the private sector. Why? Because I've seen there is something about the relations between the department and the sector there. And what programs have you developed to improve the relations? Number 2, at what point do you intend to reduce your over-reliance on consultants? And then number 3, in the same SWOT analysis, you have also identified corruption as a problem. What measures have you put in place to deal with these issues? Your consequence management, your forensic investigation, your criminal references. And then number 4, what are your current transformation targets within the sector? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Sitola. Over to you, DDG and the team, acting DG.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. You will start Memo Lutsi, followed by Dr. Ndate Puti, and then I'll come in if there's a need.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you very much, Honorable Member, in terms of the question. If we could go to the slide that is showing the SWOT analysis. Honorable members would recall that as we indicated the SWOT analysis, the weakness, the strengths that we have, and the opportunities, we did indicate that if you look at the opportunities that we have, we are actually trying to respond to some of the weaknesses that we have identified. And it also, yes, thank you very much. No strong partnership with private sector. And when you look into the opportunities, we actually indicated that we need to form a partnership with commodities and strategic partners, and where possible, leverage on the donor opportunities. And still going to the next slide, let's go to the next slide. The next slide, which is the sector strategic priorities for the period, 5-year period MTDP. I mean, the first priority there is partnership for growth. And so all these are the initiatives that we're trying to put in place so that we can be able to actually work better and improve the sector by working with all members within the sector. And in terms of the sector transformation, we have let's go down, we have an outcome, again, that deals, yes. No, the next one. Yes. We have an outcome that talks about increased production share of Black producers in the overall production to stimulate meaningful transformation. This outcome, as you see it comes exactly the same as it has been reflected in the AAMP. As we have indicated that the AMP, it is our sectoral strategy to actually ensure transformation and growth. Now, where we are sitting in terms of the percentage of Black producers making a contribution towards the broader outcome, the baseline, when we develop the strategic plan, we're sitting at 8%. So our target is to actually reach 20% over the 5-year period. I also mentioned in the situational analysis, let's go to the situational agriculture at a glance. Yes, in this slide, where we are actually showing the improvement in terms of the contribution of the Black producers in the overall production. In this period from 2015 to 2019, we're sitting at about 11% contribution of the Black share. And in 2019 to 2023, we have improved up to 13%. However, more could still be done, of course. This is merely to whet the appetite to honorable members to say, as we are implementing the AAMP, we are still focusing on the trajectory as well as the targets that we have set for ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Back to you, Honorable Chairperson. We are ready for the next honorable member.
Chairperson. Acting Chair, can I go?
Yeah, Pinar, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Acting Chairperson. Thank you, Minister, and thank you for the DDG for the presentation. It's quite comprehensive. I was covered by most of my colleagues, but I want to focus on only a few areas with a bit more detail because I feel we need a bit of more information regarding these areas. I want to go to program 1 with regards to digitalization, and a lot of our colleagues spoke about the planned 4%. Now I'm guessing. For my first question there, is this from a zero base or is this building on top of another percentage? Or are we starting from zero and we're saying, listen, we're now only at 4% or our aim is for 4%? And going forward over the next medium to long term, what are you planning to increase that by? I'm guessing it won't be 4% again, otherwise we'll be here for the next 25 years. So are we looking at the next financial year, maybe 8%, 20%, and escalate that way? I just want to get an indication from your side as department, DG or DDG, what your long-term and medium plan there is. With that as well, what is the cost analysis between digitalization? Apologies. Am I still audible, Chair? Oops.
Yes, Pinar,
Thank you,
can
Chair.
go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. I just lost connection there. So I just want that cost analysis between the digitalization and the amount of money the department will actually save in terms of actual money or funding and man hours. Then I want to go to program 3, and it was touched on by colleagues as well, but the 100 producers being funded. Again, is that program being given over as well to the provinces, so that part of the national program? What is the exact criteria for these applicants? How are you choosing these? Is it based on the business plans being submitted by the provinces or by the actual producers? Also, the finance department can give me a full breakdown of the blended finance. I want to know and what forms part of that blended finance program. And then lastly, maybe and the minister can maybe attest to this or speak to this in his closing remarks. I'm quite interested. I've been following the foot and mouth disease quite closely, especially the figures, because the figures will tell us a story, I think, of how we're doing as government and as the department itself. Quite encouraging, as my honourable boss have said as well, 2.5 million vaccines has been already distributed and given to various cattle and so on. I just want to get a sense from the minister. Is it safe to say we have our hand on the wheel and we are in control of this disease? Because I'm not seeing this big jump that I think many were expecting in the country. I'm seeing a slight increase on a month-to-month basis, but no major jumps, and that for me is very encouraging. It means we have to an extent control of it, but obviously there's still some area for improvements, especially on provincial levels. I see where control and those type of stuff. Maybe some of the provinces are not pulling their weight. And what can we do better as provinces? Where can we start pushing as well from the NCOP side? Thank you, Chairperson, Minister, and DG or DDG. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Pinar. I also had challenges with network, so I missed on the percentages. I missed the first question and then the question 3 on the. So if you picked it up, ADG and the deputy, please do respond to the first question. And also on the cost analysis, question 2, we have not done, honestly, Honourable Pinar, we have not done this analysis yet, and we don't want to go into record not telling the factual truth. We have not done it yet, and it's a matter that we still have to do to compare digitization versus actual warm bodies appointed, and which part of our work can be done through digitalization, and whether are we doing any enhancement with the digitalization, or are we just back to where we're just adding additional costing. So we've not done that part, Honourable Members Pinar. And then DDG Slang, you'll take on the blended, just to break down the blended finance, basically in short, what is it about, what's happening, what is it, basically just break it down, simplify it. On FMD, on an FMD, Honorable Pinar, are we in control? We think we are. It's the progress, it's not showing, the planning took us time. The planning to subdue the outbreak took us time. We now have got all our circulating strains matched. So this means there's now a capacity worldwide to produce vaccines. So the first 2 months, 3 months, we're battling to have as you know, you need to first match the circulating strains. We are comfortable now that we know we've got only 3 strains that are circulating. And we're happy that these strains are not foreign to the Southern Africa, and we do not have any other foreign strain. This means that we're now able to order more vaccines. Minister mentioned on Tuesday during the press briefing that by the end of this year, we easily would have imported over 14 million doses of vaccines. And so there's vaccines that are flowing, and we're planning to have 2 million doses coming into the country at the rate of a month, less than a month. So we then are comfortable that now that we've been able to have the security strains met, now that we've been able to improve our regulatory framework, now that we are finalizing the movement control protocol, now that the Section 10 that allows public-private participation, we think we're in control. I think in the next month, we're going to see much quicker progress. The numbers are going to increase exponentially. We're quite comfortable. So let me leave the 2 ones that I couldn't pick up into network challenges. The first one, DDG Wutzeleng, if it's relating to technical, if it's budget, because I had Honorable Pinar talking about percentage, if it's budget, ACD, Dunstan, please do come in.
Chairperson, let me try the first one on digitalization because it's coming for the second time.
Go ahead. Yes, go ahead.
All right. Thank you very much, honorable members and the minister. With regard to the issue of digitalization, this is actually the priority that is coming from the MTDP, where they have actually given a target of 40%. That departments should actually try to achieve 40% in the period of the MTDP. Now, also the Department of Science, Technology and Innovation has actually also mentioned that. However, if you go to slide number 10 there, whilst they're still getting slide number 10 to try and answer to the Honorable Mr. Pinar, I could say that according to our department, that digitalization is actually an estimation of the processes and the system, you know, your technologies that should be converted from manual process into the digital process. And also when referring to the digitalization, that is the automation of the manual process, that is paper files converted into digital. Now, as in terms of the question that the Honorable wanted to know, why are we talking 4%? Remember, the 4% is for the annual performance plan. In the strategic plan, this is how it appears, as in slide number 10. Are you there?
Go ahead, respond. We are listening.
Yes. Okay. I thought they are showing the presentation so that the Honorable can see the numbers. that, or for a 5-year target, we have targeted 40%. Now, the baseline at that point in time, the department was sitting at 18%. So now the difference to 40%, it's the one that actually is giving us annual targets. You know, in 25-26, we actually targeted 4%, and in 26-27, we have also targeted 4%. So now we are going to be adding it with the baseline of 18% so that we can be able to achieve the 40%. I think most of the information, as DGG Sirache has mentioned, that we might not have the information. I think the CIO, in terms of the ICT strategy, they could be having those figures to demonstrate, as in terms of how many, warm bodies might be required to assist us to achieve the target that has been set. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity that you have responded to. Muntwedi, quick 2 questions briefly, please.
I'll try to be quick. Well, let me jump this one. Chair, just a follow-up. Commercialization of the ARC, this was said some 2 years ago. DG, what have you achieved in terms of implementing this? Because I remember it was said 2 years ago when we went on an oversight visit to the ARC center in Cape Town. Now, the other thing, Chair, is my last one, is around the cooperative and enterprise development support. I see that on the APP here, there are no targets, no budgets, nothing mentioned under that cooperative enterprise development, I mean. Now, I want to check with you, Chair, that we know there's been a serious challenge where Department of Rural Development and Agriculture are fighting over who must implement this cooperative enterprise development. Now, can you confirm that since the beginning of this administration, no funds has been spent on this program, and officials appointed for these programs have been sitting and has been sitting earning a salary without any work done? So, Chair, we need closure in this thing. You can't have programs, appropriate budget, and there's a fight between 2 departments on where should this program actually reside. Now, I want to put it as a proposal to the committee that we must perhaps schedule a meeting with both the Department of Agriculture and the Department of Rural Development so that finally we put a rest into this thing, because since this administration started, Chair, since it started, this program has never been implemented. The second bite of the cherry. Thank you very much.
Okay, Honorable Muntwedi, can we give the acting DG the opportunity to respond and the team briefly?
Thank you very much, Honorable Muntwedi, Honorable Chair. The commercialization, it was a long process. Honorable Muntwedi is correct. There was a delay, but the delay was as a result of 2 challenges. One was that ARC itself was undergoing a restructuring, which took longer than we thought. And also we needed to have the concurrence of the Minister of Finance. That really is not, it wasn't a delay, wasn't delay on that part. The delay was on our side with regard to having the ARC to have to be restructured appropriately. And also commercialization requires funding. For instance, one of the things that we still need and are appealing for assistance from honorable members is that we've got designs, everything else done, all the civil work done to be able to construct an FMD production facility. We've got everything, but we are short of 700 million to get started. Had we had this funding some years back, we wouldn't be having these FMD challenges. In fact, all Southern African countries would be buying vaccines from us, and this would be making ARC revenue to even increase much better. So yes, we admit, Honorable Muntwedi, there was just a delay on our side to get to the commercialization to work, to get to where we needed to get. We delayed with the restructuring of ARC, but now we have got all the approvals, and soon Minister will be announcing the day on which ARC, the commercial wing of of ARC will be launched. Cooperatives development. I saw CD Zanzi on the call. He's in charge of that program. I do not have sufficient information. If members agree, we would request that we respond to this one in writing. Are you still here, Ndate Zanzi?
Respond. We are listening.
I think he dropped off, Honorable Chair. With your indulgence, may we humbly ask that we will respond to the question on enterprise
Chair.
cooperative.
No, order, Chair. Chair, can I raise a point of order?
No, Muntwedi, there's no order. Let them respond. They'll follow up when you are not satisfied in writing. Let's not call for
He's
order.
saying they are not. He's saying they are not responding.
Oh, okay. All right. Honorable member.
Chair, can I come in?
No, give him the chance to respond. It's fine. Acting DG, can you respond, please?
Thank you, Honorable member.
Not,
So
yeah,
maybe I must paraphrase my attempt, my response. We may not have the details, the numbers of who is doing what that information we do not have. What we can report is that indeed, Honorable Mundweli is correct. There was a dispute after the split of the two departments, dispute with regard to which part of which team that is responsible for enterprise development, cooperative enterprise development unit must go to the Department of Agriculture and which ones must go to the Department of Rural Development and Land Reform. So that dispute took some time, and there's even a lot of arbitration matters that are serving at the arbitration for this to be resolved. In the process, it is true that there wasn't really sufficient work happening, but I know for a fact that there was work happening. That's the work that I'm saying. At this stage, we do not have the data with regards to exactly how many projects were processed and where they are. And we can further on confirm that the decision was taken for a portion of the team to go, those that whose job or useful qualifications are not necessarily agriculture, to be placed at with the Department of Land Reform and Rural Development, and those whose work and qualifications is agriculture based or is agriculture in nature to be placed with the Department of Agriculture. So that unit is indeed with the department, and it is true, the observation by the Honorable Mundweli is indeed true that there hasn't been smooth operation with regards to the cooperatives and enterprise development. We do real concede. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Acting DG. I would like to give my two colleagues an opportunity to pose questions. Those who did not pose, if they are in a position to do so. Honorable Dise, Honorable Dlamini. Okay, in their absence, can I just take this opportunity as well to pose a few questions? The first question will be to the Minister. My question pertains to the game industry. Minister, we do know that the game industry is a multi-billion industry globally, including the safaris and so forth. That is an industry that is not transformed. There's minimal percentage of participation by historically disadvantaged individuals. I would like to know from the Minister what practical concrete interventions has the Minister made in this regard to ensure that there is inclusive participation. That's the first question. The second question, again, to the Minister regards the obligations of the country to the SDGs, the Sustainable Developmental Goals, 2030 vision. We are almost 3.5 years away from the SDGs, and as a country, we are committed to a particular percentage, as well as in terms of the National Development Plan, 2030 vision, in terms of reducing poverty and so forth. I just want to check with regard to that, are we on track, Minister, on that? And then pertaining to other to the DDG and other members, one, I will be interested in the 30-day payment for invoices. Is the department strictly adhering to that? That's the first one. Secondly, attended to that will be inclusive participation by the department in terms of goods and services. Do we have the required designated participation in terms of percentage? Women, youth, and people with disabilities, 30, 20, and 3. Do we have such implementation from the department? If not so, how then do we ensure that we are realize the policy positions of the country in terms of preferential procurement? Then the other question will pertain to smart agriculture. I have not heard in terms of your APP and strat plan mentioning the smart agriculture, i.e. what we call regenerative vegetation and grazing. What is the department's attitude towards that program? Then with regard to food gardens and rooftop gardens, we know in the context of food security, communities that are provided with food garden opportunities with the equipments and tools can alleviate poverty. I just want to check the department, how are you implementing such a program? Because I have not seen it reflective. The two last one will pertain to the crisis, not crisis, but challenges around the vet. We were in Klerksdorp doing an oversight 2 weeks ago in relation to the FNT, and we were very much appreciative of the strategic interventions in regard to the dosing and the injection of the cattle. But the question that I want to follow up is that the department, do you have an active recruitment strategy to recruit the requisite skills in terms of students who are doing final year as vets, so that they must see the Department of Agriculture as an employment choice? Do we have such a program? Then the last two ones will pertain to the exhibition and expos. Is the department envisioning in the future to have exhibitions and expos in agriculture, so that they must attract students to agriculture, which is a very important sector going forward? Lastly, what about the agri-parks? I know we deal with the agri-parks from the sister department chaired by Honorable Boshoff, which is in terms of the DTIC. And the agri-parks is quite a topical issue for us that we assist with. But I just want to check from an agricultural point of view, how then do you ensure you take on board the agri-parks in terms of agriculture? Thank you very much, Honorable Minister and your team. Thank you. Over to you, DG, to respond. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. The few questions on the game farming, or wildlife. Let me differentiate between the two. Honorable members would remember that there was a court judgment that removed the competency of wildlife from agriculture. So it is the competency now, as things stand, of the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and Environment. It's an unfortunate court judgment that then after that court judgment, honorable members would understand why we therefore have not, you would not see it anywhere in our APPs. The only involvement that we have in the space, in the wildlife space, is with regard to animal diseases, because at least the Animal Disease Act does go and cover the wildlife. What we are also we do have, however, a memorandum of agreement between the two departments, our department and Department of Forestry, Fisheries and Environment, where we meet quarterly to align our programs and assist them. For instance, they've got a game meat strategy, which has got to comply with the Meat Safety Act, which is administered by Minister Steenhuisen. So we are working together to ensure that with the game meat strategy, we assist them and give the necessary dispensations. What do I mean? For instance, the Meat Safety Act, it's irrespective of which meat, as long as it's for consumption, it has got to meet the requirements of our law. But if members think of a game meat, for instance, one easy example would be that our Meat Safety Act would be saying no meat can be processed at an abattoir if a such animal was not slaughtered at that abattoir. But now you think of game has got to be, they've got to be shot outside the abattoir. Just that clearing unintended challenge, which we are solving now. We're going to relax, if you like, or grant dispensation to the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and Environment for them as part of the game meat strategy maximization and implementation. We'll have that dispensation granted for them to have animals shot outside the abattoir and be processed in the abattoir. This is just an easy example. So we are cooperating with them. But as far as the Honorable Mabilo, you're correct. It's a lucrative business. Unfortunately, the breeding and the management of wildlife has since been removed from our competency. It's not our competency, and it's a matter that the industry is actually regretting. We hope for an intervention to be made for that to come back to us. Then we'll have a full suite of support packages that we support in that environment. At the moment, we do not have any local standard to operate in the wildlife. And I said I'm separating from game farming. Game farming, again, we are not able to go, because to farm with animals, you need to breed them. Breeding meaning you need to ensure that they reproduce and continue. Unfortunately, that is the part that is barred by the court order, unfortunately. So we are not able to participate meaningfully in that. The second question, this one, in part, I'll respond, but basically, DDG Mutseleng, you'll come to it to just share the achievements with regard to SDGs, especially with our G20 Ubuntu principles that we have been able to have all G20 member countries subscribing and pledging to adhere to the Ubuntu principles. That was the South African initiative, South African G20 President's initiative, which ensures that we inculcate in every policy space of government, of all of the governments of all the G20 member nations, to be able to assist. As far as the SDGs that are applicable to us, previously is the one on zero poverty and zero hunger, and the related others. We are on course. We're not far off, but it is difficult to completely eradicate hunger. But we've really achieved a few strides, and with indulgence, DDG will just come to just emphasize on our Ubuntu principles on food security. The 30-day payment, you would want to show the slide if you have ACD Dunster, how far we are, and this is a target, an APP target, so you'll show how we are faring in this one and how we fared in the previous financial year, just to give an idea, the context too for the honorable members. There also the same applies to whether we specifically have the preferential procurement, our policies aligned towards women, youth, and people with disability. And if we've got data to show, let us also talk to that and share it. But in the main, it will come from you, ACD Dunster, but also DDG Mutseleng. If we are just showing an idea with regard to the CASP business conditional grant disbursement, how we are inculcating the preferential procurement that is angled towards the women, youth, and people with disability. Smart agriculture, Honorable Babilu asked, we actually, as a matter of fact, do have a few policy instruments that advance smart agriculture. We actually even have a policy which we are working to make draft it a regulation under the CARA, Conservation of Agricultural Resources Act, which on regenerative agriculture. In fact, we do have incentives that we incentivize farmers who want to go to produce through the zero-till method, and those that embraces the smart agriculture practices. We really do have policy instruments that augment, that incentivize farmers to switch to zero tillage and to switch to other regenerative agriculture practices. Vertical farming is implied in most of our work, but ARC itself has developed a few models which we go around, and especially in the food as part of food security innovations. There are a few models where pipe production of vegetables from pipes adapted into a system that produces vegetables while reusing the same water. In other words, it's a hydroponic, so you don't lose the water circulates, comes back. There's a few of those that we actually are advocating, and we allocated funding to ARC. ARC is busy rolling out those smart agriculture practices. Skill shortage. So for vets, we do have we do not necessarily have skills shortage. We have funding challenges. They're speaking now from the national department point of view. Safe for me to say all vacancies that we have are veterinary vacancies are funded. Those that we have in the structure, we actually have in the fit for purpose structure, we have created additional positions within the veterinary field service unit. So we will be able to have additional veterinarians appointed, and we've got funding for that. And like I said, we also do have a cohort of over 150 every year that we intake into the department to assist with primary animal health care. So we do not necessarily have skills. What we short of is funding to create more veterinary and paraveterinary positions within the provincial space, and so that much we do not have sufficient funding for. And so we would really appreciate if we could have funding. We would have all the provincial departments filling all their vacancies, especially not only veterinarians, but the animal health technicians and other related paraveterinary professionals. So that is where we are. Proactive processes. In fact, as part of we do have a quota in the faculty, the only university that offers this veterinarian training of 20 students that we should, is earmarked for students who come from previously disadvantaged backgrounds, subject to them meeting admission requirements. So there is a admission space, which is a space provision, which is a proactive move from our departments in collaboration with the University of Pretoria. Expos and exhibitions, we do really participate. The next week, if honorable members can find themselves at Nambo, they will see us participating in the form of, we've got a unit in the department which does biosecurity awareness and biosecurity promotions, as well as general production practices promotions. And it will be augmented by the same team from the Agricultural Research Council, which will be showcasing the latest simplified technologies and also the career exhibitions in these events where agriculture events are taking place. Unfortunately, we from the department, owing to sometimes budgetary limitations, we are not able to be at all events, but the intention is to be at all. But we do, at the bigger ones, we do really participate. And agri-parks, if we approach an operation as an agri-park, it then falls outside our scope. But if we approach it as support to farmers, we do have the conditional grants from CASP, and we also do have funding from the land care, which is in the main embracing regenerative agriculture, smart agriculture. You would have seen, members would have seen in the AP, part of our APPs also the reduction of greenhouse emissions. Those are part of the process that we're involved in. But agri-parks themselves, as per the design, we do not necessarily support them as agri-parks. That is the competency of our sister department. But when we support farmers, we do not really differentiate whether these farmers are within or are geared towards an agri-park or not. We really just support them. But we may not be able to have a figure that talks to agri-parks, but our figures will be talking to general farmer support. Thank you very much. If you may, with the indulgence of members, ACT Dunster. Okay, let's start with you. ADG would then take the SDGs as well as, I think the SDGs as well as the admissions at the university and the skills development for critical skills. And thereafter, you will follow ACD Dunster to talk to the 30 days payment and as well as the preferential procurement. And also you can touch that one also, the digital link with regard to how we allocate our grants. How do we ensure that the previously disadvantaged and the marginalized are receiving attention. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Acting DG. I'm requesting through the Chair that I respond to Honorable Pina's question around blended finance. We could not respond in the previous cycle of response. Just shortly, Honorable Pina, blended finance is one of our schemes through which we support farmers. All our conditional grants, in exception of blended finance, are 100% grants. Your Ilimalizima, CASP, and Land Care is the farmers that are supported through those facilities get 100% grants from the state. But blended finance targets two mainly category of farmers: those that are producing at medium scale, commercial, and the large scale, those that would have between 1 million and 10 million. What happens with blended finance is that the state gives the grant portion, and through the collaboration with Land Bank, IDC, and APSA, those farmers would now apply for the loan portion from those financiers. Ourselves as the department would have complemented with the grant portion of it, and shortly, we through blended finance, we support those farmers through farm acquisitions, your production facilities and infrastructure, and even the mechanization and working capital. Just in short, Honorable Member. Going now to the questions of the Chair, I think Acting DG has already responded to the first question from the Chair around food security. If we do support production inputs and tools, and even those farmers that due to space shortages do rooftop farming, we do through provinces. We've got even especially young farmers that we are supporting to do rooftop, and we do through our food security programs provide farmers with production inputs like your tools and all those, Honorable Chair. I would also respond to, also is complementing what already the Acting DG has responded to around exhibitions. As part of our skills development drive in the department, we've got a program called Career Awareness, which we link it to our external bursary scheme, which offer bursaries to requisite to youth with requisite skills in the sector for our scarce and critical skills. As part of our career awareness, we collaborate with universities, we collaborate with high schools, especially in rural areas, to target those young people that would want to pursue agriculture. as a career of choice, and it's one of our flagship programs in the department in as far as skills development is concerned. The question array around inclusivity, we do have a what we call norms and standard for designated groups in the department. And that is just to align with your concern, Chair, around targeting the vulnerable groups, women, youth, and persons with disability. Our target as a department, which takes cue from both the global and national targets to support those groups. That is the document that we use for allocating across all the branches of the department and even our SOEs. That is the target of saying all the programs that we pursue. 50% goes to women, 40 to youth, and 6% to disability. And that is the document that also we give to our finance unit in all their procurement and all that. That is, and they report to us on quarterly basis of how much in all those targets they have complied with. And as far as sustainable development goal, your CADAP and your AU 2030 chair, we align. Actually, we start, and as far as all what we do, we even align from the Food and Agriculture Organization, from the UN agencies, the SDG targets, and we also come from, and as far as food security is concerned, we align also with the regional targets and come down at a country level to synthesize those and align our programs to those. So we can safely, Chair, saying that is our priority, both for our international and national programs. We align with the SDGs for our programs. I think I have responded to all the questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dunster.
Thank you. We'll hand over now to the Minister for his closing remarks, and then the meeting will be adjourned. Over to you, Minister, for your closing remarks.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, and thank you to the members of the committee for a very spirited and I think constructive engagement this afternoon. And I want to thank all members who made comments or contributions. They're greatly appreciated, and obviously we've taken note of those areas. Chair, there were just one or two items that I wanted to deal with that were directed towards me. First of all, FMD, and sorry, I'm not sure if there's somebody else who's talking in the background. Is it?
Go ahead, Chair.
Great. Just a few things that I wanted to traverse, if I may, with that were emerged. The first is obviously around foot and mouth disease, and the committee would know that at the last quarter of last year, we announced a new strategy to deal with foot and mouth disease, where in the past we had chased foot and mouth disease around the country and tried to isolate it through disease management areas and the like. We now have to vaccinate these animals on a mass scale, and that's obviously a massive undertaking, and it's the first time ever that we will be embarking upon this mission. Now, obviously, we were in the past getting our vaccines from the just give me 1 second, Chair. Sorry, I had somebody in the office in the background. Obviously, we've now had to embark upon procurement. In the past, we've always procured vaccines from the Botswana Vaccine Institute. And when we announced the policy, we were ensured that there were around 2 million vaccines that were able to come into the country, 900,000 procured by the government, a variety of others by organized agriculture and some of the provinces. And Botswana let us know during the course of November that, during the course of October, that they wouldn't be able to provide us the vaccines that we had ordered for November and December. That obviously left us in a very difficult situation because we don't produce our own vaccine, and we've only used the Botswana vaccine for the last 20 years since we lost our own capacity to produce. So that meant, as DDG Sarachi, I think, has outlined, that we had to go out to other countries in the world and buy vaccines. Now, there are some agricultural organizations and others who seem to think that these vaccines are there waiting in a warehouse and you just go and buy them off the shelf. That's not how it works. The field strains that circulate in South Africa had to be sent to the Pirbright Institute. Thereafter, a matching process has to be done to make sure that the vaccine being produced and the antigens to produce that vaccine match the field strains. Otherwise, we would vaccinate for strains that we don't have here and it wouldn't resolve the disease. Now, that obviously took a little bit of time. We found companies were able to do it, and that was Biogenesis Bayer in Argentina and Dolvet in Turkey. And we have gone out and secured, and I want the committee to understand this because I'm sure you get facts of conspiracy theories and the like in the field. I want it to be very clear to the committee that we have procured every possible vaccine that matches the strains here in South Africa that has been available anywhere in the world. Where we have found matching vaccines, they are being imported. Now, given the fact that these companies can now produce the vaccines that match our field strains, they've been able to ramp up production. So in the past 2-3 months, we've been getting smaller batches of 1.5 million, 2 million at a time. We can now start getting the bigger batches. Dolvet is obviously providing us 6 million, and Biogenesis Bayer can give us a batch of 5 million, and they can continue to now do this on a monthly basis, which means that we can now scale up the vaccination processes around the country and that we have the vaccine. So by the end of May, we would have imported 15 million vaccines this year, and that's on top of the 2 million that were deployed last year. Given the fact that we've got to vaccinate twice before the end of the year, we've got to obviously make sure we've got those vaccines. And I'm very confident now that the fact that we vaccinated 2.5 million animals already with what we've had, that we're now going to see a massive scaling up. And as DDG Sarachi has outlined, the public-private partnerships that we have, as well as the Section 10 process now, and of course the industry bodies, it's going to see a massive speeding up of that. But I just want to assure the committee there's no big lake of vaccines that are sitting out there somewhere in the world that we're not procuring. Every vaccine that matches our field strains and topotypes have been or in the process of being procured. I then want to just turn, if I may, because one of the honourable members said, well, what can we do to help? And I think DDG Sarachi and members have traversed some of the constraints that we have. And one of those is provincial veterinary services. Members would obviously be aware that given the schedules to the Constitution, that veterinary services are an exclusive area of provincial legislative competence. And animal disease control is a national one. Now, obviously, that means we have to control diseases nationally, but we can only do so using veterinary services provincially. And it's been a bit alarming to see the state of some of the provincial veterinary services. And it would be very helpful if the committee could assist us in persuading provinces the importance of ensuring that they do fill the positions in the provincial veterinary services so that we are able to have a secure biosecurity network in the country. Obviously, the national government, we don't have the constitutional mandate to be able to go and fill those positions at a provincial level because it's an exclusive area of provincial competence. Ours extends in terms of vets to regulation of the industry. That's our constitutional imperative and directive. So it would really help if the Portfolio Committee could assist us in that regard. Then, of course, you've heard today about budget. And there are many things we would like to do, and there are many things we could do. But we have a budget that is finite. And that does mean we have to prioritize certain things. And some of the things that we would like to do obviously get pushed out to other years where we hope we'd be able to get more money. And this is another area where committee can help us with convincing National Treasury that given agriculture's contribution to both GDP, and we've been one of the top performers for the last 10 to 12 quarters in terms of economic growth, as well as employment, that it makes sense to invest in the agriculture space. The reality is, with a budget of just under 8 billion, and when you compare that to some of the other departments, there's plenty more we would like to do, and we can do, but we obviously need the financial resources to do that. And any assistance in terms of pressure that committee can help, obviously we push from the department, and we've got various budget processes. I'm now been formally appointed to the MinCom Bud, and I'll be attending the MinCom Bud to obviously make the case why agriculture deserves a better share. I think it's going to make a big difference. Honourable Mabila, I'm very grateful for you for raising the issue about game and the game sector. It is something which I feel was an incorrect decision by our courts. I don't think our courts get it right all the time. And to my mind, animal production for commercial purposes falls under agriculture and not DFFE. They can be responsible for the welfare of the animals and for game parks, but I certainly think that the game meat and game breeding sector should fall under the Department of Agriculture. It just makes sense from so many perspectives, from the Animal Health Act to the Animal Improvement Act, that there is a much better fit for them with the Department of Agriculture, and they themselves concede that they believe they should rather be with agriculture rather than DFFE. But that is the situation we currently deal with. I think there's a lot we could do. The barriers to entry with game and the game sector is obviously incredibly high because you require large tracts of land, and there's very high startup costs with fencing and the purchase of the game themselves. But I think there's lots more we could be doing, as we are doing in other sectors, to assist with ensuring there is greater participation. In conclusion, I do just want to say that the goal of the whole FMD process, and this is also something we need to keep our eye on, because I think we in the fog of a crisis, we sometimes lose perspective of where we want to be going forward. The reason that we are vaccinating now and embarking upon a mass vaccination strategy is twofold. One, it's to get the current outbreak, which has been raging since 2019, under control, and to bring it to an end and to stop the spread of it. And that's why the goal of vaccinating 80% of the national herd by December is so important. But there's a secondary goal. The secondary goal is that if we can achieve that, and if we can continue to provide the data and the surveillance and the monitoring figures, we can apply to the World Organization of Animal Health to achieve foot and mouth disease free status with vaccination. What does that mean? That status would open up automatically 94 markets around the world for South African agricultural products in terms of red meat. And this would be a game changer for our local producers. These markets have been closed for over 20 or 30 years for South African producers. And what we've seen is by getting the premium that farmers are able to achieve through export, we've seen in the citrus and deciduous fruit, it has translated into greater growth domestically, which is a good thing, but you've also seen a growth and transformation. Now, if one looks at the red meats and the livestock sector, it has one of the highest participation rates of previously disadvantaged South Africans. I think it sits around 45% black participation. Now, we'd like to see that number grow, but it certainly is one of the highest in the agriculture space. Now, can you imagine what could happen if those producers were exposed to international markets where they could get the profitability and premium from their red meat products internationally, and what that would mean for local expansion and inclusion in the industry here in South Africa? It would be a game changer. And so that is really what we're working towards ultimately, is being able to open up our markets again to trading partners internationally so that our farmers can grow, we can pull more people into the sector, there can be greater transformation in the sector, and that we can see more players in the industry making a lot more money and expanding, and that obviously leads to greater jobs and economic activity as well. So we mustn't lose sight about where we want to be, but obviously to get there, we have to get through this current outbreak, and that's what the focus is. Chairperson, I think that I would be remiss of me not to thank DDG Sarache and the team for their responses today. Obviously, those that may be still outstanding or where there's further clarity required, we would encourage members to write to us directly, and we can work on providing those answers. But thank you very much for a very constructive engagement with the NCOP Select Committee today. It's been an absolute pleasure to be with you, and it's been great to listen to the very thoughtful and considered questions that have been put by this body to the department and myself today. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Minister. I think I must apologize. I'm at the Indaba Rural Development Indaba, so the echo will disturb here and there. I think I must hand over to the chairperson of the committee, Honorable Dise, because I was just holding the fort for him. But I would like in writing the DDG to respond to the support that they are giving to new entrants in terms of cattle, goats, sheep, etc. in writing. How, and give us a breakdown of the 9 provinces, how you are assisting them with goats, sheep, and cattle as startups. I know there's that program, but disaggregated. Thank you very much, Minister. I think I will hand over now to the chair of the Select Committee, Honorable Mudise, to make his closing remarks and a vote of thanks. Thank you for the opportunity I was given to facilitate the meeting. Over to you, Honorable Mudise. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Honorable Mabilo, and thank you for holding the fort. I want to apologize to members. It has been a crazy day today, and I felt that asking Honorable Mabilo to chair, and then I come back, I chair, and then I have to leave, and he has to chair. Would seem like I'm disrespecting you. So the best thing is for him to chair so that I'm able to do other parliamentary business on the side. Minister, once more, thank you so much for agreeing to be in a meeting on a Thursday afternoon when you normally meet on Tuesdays. I'm sure you and your team had to rework around your schedule so that you are here today. And I just want to make a request to you, Minister, that you speak to the DG. We had a workshop in Gauteng. There's a report that is still outstanding. Would really love to receive that report. It's been some time now, and I'm sure I will be fair to you and the DG if we're to request that the report should be submitted by Tuesday end of business, so that we are able to submit our own report that we're supposed to present before Parliament, because you would know that whenever there's an oversight, there has to be a report that is submitted before plenary. So we'd love to have that report at least latest Tuesday end of business. Thank you for the response. I don't want to waste any more time. We're supposed to have finished by 5. I once more thank you to everyone, including those that are attending the rural development. I know you had to stretch yourself and concentrate on this side as well as doing the work on the other side. With that few words, thank you so much. Until we meet again, we appreciate everyone and all the efforts that have been made for this meeting to be a success. Have a good evening. The meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.